to paper, a lost friend's letter. In darkness I travel, my eyes upon a house disheveled. Walking the halls, all the pain I see, paranoia and anxiety. Usher was telling me, paranoia rising, the house is hearing, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. I can't how it can be, the house, the leaves it's possessing, books and songs to help calm, the words brought sounds from beyond. Mental illness growing thin, something's under his skin. What is he hearing? Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. Plan's not fair, we left her there, a tomb cold, but for her it could not hold. Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. Usher's ghost, the house's host, like the wind she flew in from the cradle. No one could save, soon the grave, the house of Usher would but cave. Her body on mine, we both lost to insanity's time. Paranoia rising, the house is listening, influencing spirits haunting, the house of Usher is falling. I'm manifesting through the pain. I reach for you like a fading ghost, like a vapor of smoke. You look back but didn't see me. One day you'll notice something missing, and you'll turn to look for me, and I'll be gone. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. with ghosts standing in the rain. My memory, your pain. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. I'm manifesting through the pain. In darkness, you'll scream my name, but no one will hear. It's just you and your fear. I'll never be near. You'll imagine me, my hands touching, my ghost dancing. Looking into my eyes, you'll see all your lies. You'll remember all the tears I cried. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. Just a memory, a fleeting memory, forever chasing me like a haunted cemetery. Forever you'll be missing me. Is it safe to fall asleep? Is it safe to dream? Eyes open to all these weird things. Alice knew what she had to do. Keep calm and journey on. A splendid time it could be, taking the high road blissfully. Time was ticking, the Mad Hatter was slipping, the mushrooms were kicking, the journey was about to begin. Hectic white rabbit racing against the clock, but Alice had another thought. She knew she ruled the plot, so she ate this and drank that. Was simple as tit for tat. Time was ticking, the Mad Hatter was slipping, the mushrooms were kicking, the journey was about to begin.
Welcome to the show, Paranormal Roundtable. I'm your host, Josh Turner, and this is PRT. Join us in the real reality. We do believe this is the real reality that we talk about here on the show. If I look a little different, it's because this is gone. And that was planned, but not to this extent. So you know how it goes, guys. If you're shaving, and so I because it kept bothering me. It was like it looked like it was moved over.
I didn't notice until you pointed it out.
Oh man,
Like,
it makes my face actually look different. It does. It's a weird dynamic. And so I started trying to get it to, and then it just was like a line, and I was like, dude, so I just went, and then I just like, because it's like your hair, you know, how you have hair cowlicks, your beard, your mustache will get cowlicks, and mine just grows weird right there. So I just said, you know what, I don't know what to do with it. So there it is. That's what happened. So I look weird. That's what happened. That's whatever. Like I've said before, I've never denied it that I have this big Campbell's Soup is Good Food head, whatever. You know what I'm talking about with those cans of the soup with they used to have the little round fat kid's head. Whatever. Yeah. I have this like round bulldog head. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, I know my head is not it is what it is. You know, I'm not, I don't try to sit up here and act like I'm something that I'm not. I mean, Maddox said I tried to do the clean shave. Yeah, Wolverine, and didn't work out. You had to cut it. Yeah, I've never done that. I've never, I don't cut my own hair. I've never tried to do that, but I have messed up my beard multiple times. I did cut my beard on my own this last time I did it, and I thought I did a pretty good job. I just was like, I was tired of it being so long,
Mhm.
you know, and so I just decided to cut it, and I left a little bit too much on the side, so I had to go back in and fix it up. I don't really do a whole lot with my beard and my mustache. You know, it looks a little more polished, but I don't really do much with it. I don't mess with my eyebrows. People think I mess. I don't mess with my eyebrows. You mess with your eyebrows, do you? Look at those women that don't have eyebrows.
Yeah, that's
Do
weird.
they know that they don't have eyebrows? Have they seen themselves?
Like when dudes have their eyebrows like lined up, and it's weird looking,
That is
dude.
weird. That means that's something going. Why would you
Yeah.
do that? Why not just go get your butthole waxed too while you're doing that?
And bleached.
I can't believe that. If you're doing all that, you might as well just go ahead and
Mhm.
manicure the whole whatever. That's weird to me. I was at the mall the other day. You remember at the mall?
Mhm.
And this lady walked by and she had no eyebrows.
Yeah,
Like
that's
you
like
could
a
see a
thing.
little bit of gray, right? But I was like, whoa, I kind of jumped back because she was like, she just looked like she was surprised kind of permanently. Like,
Yeah.
ladies, you need eyebrows. You got to have, there was this push back in the 90s and early 2000s for these people to have, really thin eyebrows. I guess that was the style or
Mhm.
something. I don't know. I didn't really keep up with what they
Like
were
when they
doing.
draw
but-
them on with the pencil,
Mhm.
like the chola eyebrows.
It was gross though, man. They started
Nasty,
doing
yeah.
that, and all these women took their eyebrows off. And some women were like, "Well, I don't want to have like caterpillars up there." Well, did you have that? Is that what you had? Is that why you had to destroy your face? I mean, I don't know. I'm just saying it was a weird thing. It was a weird time, and people were doing weird things.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess.
Now the thing is like to have no eyebrows, but then also like to have like zero cheek fat, so your cheeks are like
Sunken
yeah
in.
sunken in, so you look
Well,
like
the
you've been
big
doing
lips
meth.
too, the fake duck lips.
Because all the actresses are doing that. They have that procedure done where they just get it sucked out and they look.
And that's why you need
horrendous.
PRT to tell you that those are vampires, folks.
Yes.
They drink blood
And they eat babies.
and they eat children. So, do you want to look like them? Do you want to look like them? You want to be a Rothschild
wanna
with the
look like a-
elongated skull with the weird head?
You want to look like a drug addict, a methed out cannibal with no eyebrows? Then don't listen to PRT, and that's what will happen to
That's
you.
what will happen. You'll go eat McDonald's.
Without us, you're gonna look like I don't know, whatever actresses that you like that looks like that.
There's this girl that's on Instagram, and I can't tell you what her name is. She's some Hispanic girl. She's got like this permanent like smile on her face, and she's like just looks like the Joker, dude.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess she's semi-attractive. I don't know, but she eats these ungodly amounts of like fast food. Like she ate a 10 patty quarter pounder with cheese.
That's gross.
And I was just like, the whole time I was thinking, dude, like if you were even slightly remotely attractive after you eat a burger with like 8 patties or 10 patties, like I've never done that in my life, as big as I've been in my life. I've never done that ever. And you're just going like, why would you do that to you? Why would you hammer your body like that? And so I had to leave a comment. I don't hardly ever leave comments on those things.
Mm-hmm.
But on that one, I did. I was like, I had to say something. I was like, you're now a cannibal. And a bunch of people laughed about it. Was that really necessary?
Yeah, it was. It was bothering me.
I don't care what it bothers you. It just, the people is what matter, not you.
Yeah, the technical stuff is my job.
Well, you've always been weird, an odd person.
It matters.
Okay, it matters. All right, yeah.
Thank you.
Weird guy. So, getting some people in here before we get started talking about. I got some crazy synchronicities again, and I went with it. First, I want to say something. These encounters we got today, I dug and dug, and I knew in my I have a big head, but I have a big brain, and I knew in that big brain there was an encounter that I read a few years ago. I think it was at the beginning of COVID, and I was going like, a lot of people were in their houses at that time. You know what I mean? Like everybody was, and so it was a lot easier for people to just sit there and watch YouTube. There's nothing else to do, right? I mean, everybody's watching Tiger King, right? And so I was sitting there going like, I was working all the time. So I was out a lot. I was outside of the house a lot. We weren't at home a lot because somebody had to be out there, right? Somebody, so that was us. So we were working a lot, but I was on post and I was constantly dealing, because homeless people don't stop because you're in your house. That just makes it easier for them to steal. And there's not enough people out there giving them money, so they decided that they were going to step up their game. So the homeless people were robbing and looting like crazy, dude. And so we ended up getting quite a few contracts during COVID. I started hitting the groups like religiously. Like I was going in there and reading the groups. People were just typing up all kinds of stuff. I think we got more encounters from 2020 to 2022 than we have all the other years combined.
Yeah.
I think that those years, like 2020 and to 2022, like maybe that year to 2 years, like it blows everything out of the water. Like how many, we got so many, we're still doing them from those days. And this is one of them. And so one of these people, I had a screenshot and I knew I had it. And so I kept hunting for it and I found it because I heard a story from a listener. This was from a listener. It says, hey, my sister has, and this guy Shannon contacted me. He says, my sister has an encounter to blow your mind. I hear that a lot, right? But everybody knows I love the fantastical, like this boom stories. I like those and I can do them justice. I'm not bragging. I'm just telling you the truth. So this dude says, look, I got this, and so I contacted her. I said, hey, your brother Shannon told me blah, 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 and it was crazy. Like, so I started listening to this encounter and I went back. I said, I know I've heard this before. Not the exact same encounter, but something very similar. And so I started this hunt about 3 weeks ago. And I said, you know what? I'm going to do this one. And so we were going to do the ones about the haunted vehicles tonight, but this one really grabbed me. And I was like, dude, I have to do these. This is crazy, crazy. So I went back and I looked in the archives and I found it. I had a screenshot.
Mm-hmm.
So all I had was a name to go by. And so I contacted her through her real name on Facebook. And she's from California. And what's crazy is like that encounter mirrors, no pun intended, mirrors the encounter that happened here in Texas. And there's a few here in Texas.
Mm-hmm.
But you're going to see why. If I have time, I'm going to try and because the one encounter is pretty involved. There was a lot going on. But yeah, it's an interesting story, folks. You're going to be like, man, what the hell is this? Because I know when I was listening to this person talk, I'm going like, this is crazy because, she had typed it out in the group, but people started messing with her, like saying, being stupid, being snarky and mean. And so then she took it down. But fortunately for me, I'd screenshotted it because you know how I used to stalk the groups. I shouldn't say that because I was accused of, he's stalking us. I don't know if anybody actually said that, but that's what the admins were like. You can't be in here. Your show is too good. It's too good. And it's taking precedence over me, over what I want.
Yeah.
I want people to worship me. And you're over there just telling encounters, and that's not good. And people are coming on your show and they're telling encounters and everybody's telling things and our show sucks. Our group sucks and we hate you. We're going to find a reason why and we're going to attack you. And then when we attack you, we're going to tell everybody you attacked another person. You're just on a roll attacking everybody. You're like Hitler.
I'm going to attack you so bad you don't want to be attacked again.
You're literally Hitler and you love Hitler and I'll slap your face off your face because you're Hitler. So, yeah. Yeah. And of course, we're throwing curses left and right, hexes. So Monday, folks, my back was hurting so bad on Monday. Oh my gosh, dude. So I got it adjusted on Thursday and it had been about 2 years. So you have 2 years of crackability. Is that a word? But it got me, man. I'm telling you, Saturday I was really hurt. Then Sunday I had taken this stuff. It's called Curamed, and it's got like curcumin. And like there again, I'm not promoting it because I'm not a spokesperson or whatever. I just know what works for me. And it's a really good supplement. It's a high-end supplement, and it works really well. And it got me where I could, and then Monday, it was like up to the last minute, and I said, go ahead and call it. I can't do it. I'm not gonna be able to sit there, and it hurts so bad. So today I woke up, it's a little better than yesterday. Yesterday was a little better than Monday, and so on and so forth. So I'm slowly healing, and I'm able to, you know, I said just haven't been able to work out hardly at all. But I will eventually be able to, you know, get myself whatever. Oh, so you know, prayers and positive energy for me to heal so I can get better. Some people in the comments, it was brought to my attention in the last show's comments, were asking about the Patreon and the paywall, whatever. It's very simple. Just join the Patreon and you'll be fine. And you'll have, starting out in September, we're going to do an extra show, a pre-record that you guys will be able to watch, and it will be on the it'll be Patreon. So if you're a $10 tier on Patreon, you're good, and you get the swag bag on top of it. Now we're going to do the normal pre-record starting in September, the normal one that comes on here. It's going to be members only. Okay. And what I've decided is it'll be members only, and you for the $5, because the $5 is really just to help us. It's just to help the show. And we want to give you something, and we can't do the giveaways for the members only because somebody ran and tattled and was like, hey, they're doing, you know, whatever. So they asked us not to do it, so we're not going to do it, and so we're just going to give away to whoever, you know, whatever. We're still going to do the giveaways because they can't stop that. But there was a members thing, and people were buying memberships, and we didn't know what to do for them because everything was free. So what did we do? So we started giving you stuff, and they said, no, don't do that. So, okay. And our sub count has dropped significantly because we're being mass reported, and Nelly has been, you know, going back and forth with YouTube. These people are just killing us, trying to kill us, you know, and we're just doing what we got to do. We keep pushing, but it's hard, man, when you got all these people that are attacking you constantly. I mean, you know, and somebody said the other day, all snarky, they're like, oh, who's attacking you? You want me to give you a list? Because I have names. Go to PRT News. You can see the names. They're right there. It's right there. What they're telling you what they're doing. They're telling you. And at the same time, they're saying we're doing stuff, and we're not. We're not cursing you. We're not throwing hexes. I don't have a coven of witches, according to this mad roofer, that I've gone and, you know, and cursed all these people. Dude, no, I don't have. And if I even was into that, I wouldn't have time for it. Nobody has that kind of time to deal with that crap. But they do. I can tell you, I promise you 100% they do. They have plenty of time because they don't work. Even the ones that claim to have jobs, they really don't. They don't work. And so they're definitely throwing curses and doing stuff. And they've even admitted it. And funny that one of them showed up and was saying, you know, about me, and I'm supposedly a fake Christian, and now I'm acting like a preacher, whatever. Once again, I'm not a preacher. I've never said I was. Not. But they are, yeah, they're sickos, man. Honestly, Sage Cooley, absolutely. They're sick people, man. They got some problems. That's Banjo making noise. Oh, man, poor little dude. Guys, you need to pray for Banjo. He's got a, hold on one second. Oh, hold on one second, dude. So prayers for Banjo, man. He's got a like his trachea has collapsed, and those dogs, that when that happens, a lot of times they end up with aspirating. So we're a little worried about the little guy. He's been with us for a long time. I love that dog. I don't want anything to happen to him. He's getting old. You know, he's been with us forever. I know anybody who's been around PRT long enough, you know who Banjo is. It's Tony's dog, but he's one of us. He's the smallest of the dogs. But he's got a big heart, and he's a good dog. He loves me a lot. When first got him, he couldn't take him to work at the assignment that he was at. And so it was raining a lot during that spring. And Banjo would run in the room and crawl into the blankets with me, you know, in the middle of the night, like 3 or 4 in the morning. He'd wake me up, and you know, I would go to bed about 2 at that time. I had to wake up about 11. Or I had to be at work at, like, I think at that time I had a job. I had to go in at noon. It was weird. I had a noon shift for about 3 months. It didn't, you know, it just kept going. And so he would always come in and he'd wake me up, because I go to bed about 2 or 3 and I get up about, you know, 6, 7, 8, you know, in the morning, whatever, different times, depending on when I went to bed. But it kept raining, and every time it would thunder and lightning, he'd run and jump into bed. And, you know, so he got real attached to me. And so I'm the only one in the house. Like, if anybody goes up to bed, we do this thing where we pretend to hit him. Like, you go like that with it. Yeah. And he'll go crazy. He'll try to attack you.
Yeah. He does not like it.
He won't do it to me. I'm the only one. I told Tony, I said, I could beat you up. He won't do nothing. He won't do anything. With me, he'll kind of start to make a whiny noise, and he'll roll around on the ground and he'll start like flipping around. I'm like, what are you doing? It's like a nervous reaction, I guess, or whatever. And so we just kind of laugh about it, but it's, you know, I told Tony, I was like, you better not make me mad, because I decided to beat you up. Which that would be the shortest fight in history, but he don't do that. He doesn't get on my nerves that bad. But yeah, he's a good dog. Thank you for that, Lolo, becoming a member or continuing to be a member. So the pre-record that we have now, starting in September, that will be a members only show. That's it. As simple as that. And we're going to have an extra show that's going to be free of charge. Or the regular show will still be free of charge. The extra show that we're going to start doing in September will be for the Patreon. And then probably by the end of October, maybe even go longer, maybe till Thanksgiving, we're going to try and get it going. And we're going to move a live stream over to where it's Patreon only. I've already had several people tell me what a piece of crap I am. Like, you know, not real bad. They're not like, there wasn't nobody cussing me out. They were just like, well, I'm leaving. I'm not doing this. Goodbye. I quit. And do what you got to do, man. It's been 6 years, dude. The thanks I get for keeping everything free for 6.5 years is that people are going to say crap to me. You know, it is what it is. Okay, so we got 280 people in here. Okami, that's funny. Just reading some of the comments here. Sage posted the Patreon, and if you guys want to donate and you don't want to donate through YouTube, you can post the PayPal link on there. It's up to you, however you want to do it, if you want to do it at all. I mean, this has been a really bad month up to this point, you know, which is just more solidifying why we have to have this. You know, we have to do it. It's just the way it is, man. So I've been watching this show. It's called King of Collectibles. Have you guys seen this?
Yeah, it's a good show.
It is freaking good, man. Like, a
lot of history in it.
I don't know how I feel about the main guy. He's kind of, I get it. He's a business guy. I mean, that's just his thing. It's like, it's just, You know, most of the people that are on the show that are like the people that work there, the sales,
Yeah, they're
people,
pretty
they,
good.
they seem pretty likable. I mean, they have a
The
pretty
main guy and
likable,
his daughter are a bit much.
yeah. But the
The
that
daughter's
dynamic
really
is just
annoying.
like it's like, dude, spoiled people, you know. But I mean, if you work hard and you put your life's blood, sweat, and tears into something, I kind of like the way that it's going and the way that she's kind of earning her position a little better. Because I did that with Anthony and with you, and you guys had to earn your keep. It wasn't one of those things where you just handed everything. And I always cringe when I see that, when I see somebody that's just because I didn't have that. I never had anybody that just gave me everything. Here you go. Here's the keys to the kingdom. Just do what you got to do.
You don't really
You don't appreciate it, and you'll
appreciate
wreck
it.
it real quick. And I'm just not into that whole.
You have no understanding of its value.
Yeah, because those people don't live in reality. They've never had to. They don't have to struggle, you know. So it's kind of like whatever. Thank you for the donation, Ben YouTubing. And I'm not gonna lie, like just recently with my back hurting on Monday, I started thinking about it and I thought, you know, about maybe taking a hiatus or maybe just stopping and then just doing shows sporadically here and there when I feel like it and just focusing on my business. And I thought about that and I thought about, you know, or maybe just quitting and then just going on people's shows every now and then if I'm asked to, you know, because it does become a grind. But then I start, you know, like with the stories we got tonight, you know, I start getting into it because I really enjoy it. I enjoy doing the research and I enjoy talking to people and I enjoy getting their encounters and listening to people's encounters. And so it always kind of brings me back. I'm like, well, it's going to be hard to just quit. But you know, I don't know. I just sometimes I feel like it. I feel like I should just go in another direction with my life. All right, we got 306 in here. So here we go, guys. Here's what happened. So I got contacted by, and I want to just get going here. I got to talk about this. Everybody's familiar with the story of Bloody Mary, right? Are you familiar with that? Okay. Because kind of like Beetlejuice, you're not supposed to say it 3 times. If you say it 3 times, what happens? Something bad happens, right? There's all these stories about it. And said, well, people say, I don't believe this. One of my friends, Ricky, when we were in high school, right? Ricky, he told me, he says, yeah, I don't believe in this crap. Right? No surprise there. And Ricky, he's a black dude, and he was just like, I don't believe in this crap. He told me when he was at a slumber party when he was a little kid, his older sister Tanish and her best friend and another girl all went into the bathroom, and they did it. Then for like a week, a bunch of weird crap happened in his house. So I got his story. And I had it for a long time, and we talked about this, Anthony and Tony. We talked about, you know, doing a show about the legend of Bloody Mary. Now, if anybody knows who she actually was, she was Mary Queen of Scots. That's where the original story comes from, and it was passed down by the Catholics because she was killed because she was a rival to, well, there were two queens. She was caught between two. One was Medici. Was it Catherine Medici? From, I believe, you want to look it up.
Yeah.
The French queen. She fled, and then she ended up in the court with the Queen Elizabeth, who had no love for her as her cousin and a rival to the throne. So she was kind of like a homeless queen, and they didn't like her. Catherine, I believe it was. But anyways, they ended up. One of them wanted to kill her, and then the other one finally did after she was she was held as a prisoner. Being of royal noble blood, and the closer to the throne you were, the more in danger you were. It wasn't like, oh man, I'm number 2 or 3. It's like, oh man, I'm gonna die.
You want to be safe. You want to be like 540th.
Yeah, you don't want to be that close to the throne because if you have any slight claim at all, you're probably going to have an accident, or they're just going to be like, you know what? I don't even care what anybody thinks. I'm just going to get rid of this person. And so that's where the legend goes back to. That's as far as I could trace it back. But weird thing is, what Ricky told me was really odd. There were 3 girls in the room, in the bathroom, that summoned this thing. Now, I was at a party one time when I was a young man, and I was like 18, 19, and there were some people doing that crap. And
It was Catherine Medici.
Catherine Medici, right?
Mhm.
She was actually Italian.
Yeah.
They called her the Serpent Queen. So yes. So anyways, they ended up saying that, screaming, came running out of the bathroom, and we're like this. It wasn't a small apartment; it was like a big apartment, but it was like a 3-bedroom apartment, and it was down by the drag. Now the drag is where what we call the Guadalupe right here, and there's all these college apartments. So we were at a college apartment at one of these complexes. I can't remember if it was the Castilian or if it was Centennial Condos, one of those places, and we were partying, and there was a bunch of ruckus, and everybody's like, "Oh, we saw something in the mirror," and I was sitting there going like, "Well, maybe you shouldn't be playing with the mirror," you know. I didn't care. I was there for the booze. Okay, so that was my experience with it. Now, I did, like I said, my friend Ricky claimed that there was something that happened when he was young. I had his story for a long time. I've kind of sat on it because I thought, and there's a bunch of stories. I'm just kind of sitting on waiting to use them for something to back up what I'm talking about. Here's the moment. Okay. So this guy Shannon reaches out to me. We talk, and he tells me, he says, "You need to talk to my sister. She lives down in she was living down the Rio Grande Valley." And it's interesting. Shannon is her half brother, and he's like me. He's got a white dad and a Hispanic mom. So interesting. Like we kind of hit it off, and he says, "I watch your show. I drive a truck." Well, he doesn't drive anymore. He used to. He used to drive a truck. He has another business he's getting started. And so he says, "Look, I got a story." So he told me an interesting story, and I do think maybe his story does tie in to this. It could possibly tie in. I can't prove it. I mean, you can't prove anything, but it does make sense because it happened 2 weeks after what was happening with her, and he saw something 1,000 miles away, similar to what she was watching, what was happening to her, or what was watching her. So here's what happened. A 16-year-old, let me make sure I get the names right. You sent them to me, right, Anthony?
Yeah.
Here we go. Okay, so there were three people. Actually, the slumber party had 6 different people, 6 females. It was a sleepover. It was her birthday, and so after the birthday party, they had a big birthday party, whatever. She had a sleepover, and there were 6 girls all together. Sierra is the girl that we're in the question that we're talking about. It was her friend Brenda, and Kara. Those are the 3 that ended up in the bathroom. Hold on one second, folks. Got to do something real quick. All right, folks. So what happened was there were 3 girls, and they all. Let me get my notes here. Sorry about that. So this happened in the Rio Grande Valley. Now that may or may not be important. I don't know, but it was weird because these people were living down in the Rio Grande Valley in a city down in the Rio Grande Valley. That's all I'm going to say about where they live. One of them still works down there. She works for the city or one of those cities. I believe she still does. I'm not for sure 100%, but I don't want to get into it because I don't know how they feel. I haven't talked to her, and I don't know how she feels about people putting her business out there, whatever. 6 girls at a slumber party. This happened almost 20 years ago, and to this day, the residuals are still happening. This took place in her parents' house. Her parents are both still alive. And that particular house is now her really elderly grandmother and one of her aunts, who's now a widow, and her cousins stay there. And her parents have moved up here. They actually live here in Austin. And so this female, she lives down in San Antonio, but they moved out of the valley to get away from whatever this was. And the house sat vacant for a while. And I gotta say, it's not as cut and dry as like, oh, well, they invited something bad, they did something naughty, and then all kinds of hell broke loose. According to this, these particular people that are telling us this story, and I only talked to 2 of the females, and of course Shannon, her brother. This house already had some stuff going on. Now, apparently, before this took place, there was a murder. Didn't happen in the house, but it happened to someone at the end of the street. Now, here's what's crazy. The person that lived there was the one that was murdered, according to what was told to me. But they were apparently being stalked and harassed. This happened back in the 90s. And it was a female, and she was married. And this was a guy she worked with that she had a fling with, and she tried to break it off with him, and he's like, no. So when her husband was off at work, like he worked like the swing shift or something from what the whole story was told to me by Shannon. This woman, he broke into the house, and she ran down the street and went into a neighbor's house that she knew that lived down the street. He ran in there, he caught her in the backyard and stabbed her to death, according to the story. Right? Now, not to crack on the valley, but there are a lot of murders in the valley. So I didn't find this one particular, like I didn't really try real hard, but I did kind of try to look at it. But there were similar cases. And so I'm like, okay. So to kind of be more vague about it, I don't want to be like, because since then there have been 2 more homicides in that town right there that were very similar, like stabbings. And so I was like, oh, okay, so this is something that does happen, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm not going to lie, I was in a nightclub down there and I watched somebody, get into it. I mean, these guys were going at it and one guy just did the other guy, and in the parking lot, I didn't know who was who. And there were people pulling all kinds of weapons and stuff. And I was like, this is not my thing, But it can be a very violent place. You can lose your life like that. I mean, it's not, when Abe talks about the Rio Grande Valley, he's not lying. He's not exaggerating. Okay. Abe from Spiritual Encrypted Encounters, he's from there. So it could be a very nice place, a very rough place though too. And, and a hell of a place to grow up. It's almost like it's got its own set of rules until the last 10 years or so when things kind of changed a little bit. But you met people that were playing, hard, fast, loose with the rules. You know what I mean? It's just that kind of place. And you kind of needed to know people because if you didn't, you could get in trouble real quick. So that's that.
Kind of place where like you had to be one of them to be accepted. Like you had to be born.
Or you had to bring something to the table.
Yeah.
You couldn't just go down there and be like, hey, let's hang out, because they don't know who you are and they don't know what you're up to. And nobody, knows you. I didn't grow up down there, but I was there like all the time because my godfather lived down there and my dad had a lot of ties down there. And so did my grandfather. My grandfather and my dad spent a lot of time down there. What was that? So my grandfather had his own trucking business for a little while, and my godfather had a trucking business, and my dad's best friend lived down there or lives down there, and their dads were very close. So my grandfather was very close with my godfather's dad, and so yeah, it's one of those things where and so they, there's I've been down. I know the rules. I've been down there a lot. I spent a lot of time down there, and I used to go to South Padre all the time, and even did a MMA tournament down there, and yeah, it just I remember hanging out down there on the beach and like people just telling story after story after story of brujeria in particular, like these people talking about shape shifting and ghosts, werewolves, the Conejo, which is like the black dog, the curse, La Chusa. You heard so many stories of stuff, so many haunted house stories, and some of those stories would make your skin crawl. I mean, the stuff that people would see. There was a guy who sent me a story not too long ago. This is a real quick one, but he was in jail, and it was real short. Thank goodness for him. But he sent me a story, and he said that the guy like lifted up his hand, and his hand started to elongate. So all the dudes in the tank were like, "Hey, this guy's something.
Yeah.
This guy's a brujo or something, So then they went in there and they grabbed everybody and pulled him out, and they left him in there, and all they heard was screaming and yelling, and like I guess they got like a fire hose and sprayed the guy. And this happened like 10 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But he wrote me this, and he said, "This is crazy." He said, "I didn't see anything beyond that." He goes, "That's what I saw. It was just the guy's hand go up, and it was like American Werewolf in London. And then next thing you know, we're all just running out of the cell." And I've heard of stuff like that down there. I've heard stuff because it is kind of like it's like it's heavily Mexican down there, like 90%. But the Mexican people down there that are they're kind of like they're in charge down there.
Yeah.
They're Mexican Americans, make no mistake. They're not from Mexico, but they're like, this is and they were always really down on the people from Mexico. They call them mojados, which is, it's a derogatory term. And they didn't let them settle there. If you were crossing the border, you better go further up. You're not going to stay in the valley. And that's kind of how they were. So it was 90% Mexican American, with a small percentage of people from Mexico that would stay there and work for those particular Mexican Americans, with very few white people or black people. But there were a few, but not many. And then you had a heavy white population that would come down from the northern states to get away from winter, right? So you'd have people from like Maine, Minnesota, Massachusetts. They'd come down there, or Wisconsin, and they would stay. They called them snowbirds, and you would see their RVs just everywhere.
Yeah.
And they would be there in the wintertime.
Yeah.
So it was actually cool to go there in the wintertime because it wouldn't be like freezing cold like it gets up here. And then you'd be down there in the winter and it would be like moderate, it would still be cold. It's not like you wanted to go to the beach and go jump in the water because it'd still be like 40, 50 degrees, whatever. But you're getting away from, for the most part, that's about as cold as it would get down there. And I had a lot of friends down there. So, it was nice to be able to go. It's 6 hours away from here, pretty much, to get down into the valley.
It's like comfortably cold.
It was. And between, like, from San Antonio down there, unless you cut through and go down to the Corpus, I mean, there's nothing. It's just like a vast, like, there's cities, like very few, very small towns, not a lot of water. And so the drive down there can just be like barren. I mean, like there's trees and stuff. It's not like it's desert, but it's semi-arid, So that area is just like wide open, and they'll be like, 60, 50 miles from town to town. There's nothing. And then you get down the valley and it's all green and lush and it's real pretty, and it starts to open up, and so that's the history down there, right? And so there's a lot of legends and stories, and of course, this one, of course, is a legend, a story. So they go into the bathroom, these three girls, and I don't know why this is that three girls seems to be the magic, whatever, how it works, but it seems that's what happened to my friend Ricky, and I thought I perked my ears up when this guy was telling me this story, and he said, "Man," he goes, "it worked because they repeated the phrase 3 times, all of them together, staring into the mirror in the dark with a candle." Now, Get this. She met a girl at CCT at the catechism, that's for the Catholic people, that told her how to make it happen. Now, I asked the question when I talked to her. I said, Sierra, why did you want to make this happen?
I was
And-
bored.
She was like, I was 16 and it was my birthday and I had had a few drinks, and I said, 16, you were drinking? She goes, well, the year before was my quinceañera. She goes, and my dad watched me like a hawk, so I couldn't drink. I was like, so you're not supposed to. That's why your dad watched you like a hawk, Sierra. Good grief. So anyways, my parental instincts kicked in and I was like, don't do that. That's, but she's already like, that's like I said, this was 20 years ago, right? She's not even, so whatever. It's not, it is what it is. It happened. I look at it like this though. I mean, if you stop and you think about it, when I was a teenager, I was trying to do that too. And when you talk to this person and she's telling you, hey, whatever, you kind of lose sight of the fact that she's like almost 40 years old now. She's like 36, 37 years old.
Mhm.
Right. And so she's like, well, yeah, but I'm like 30. I'm a mom. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. So you're going to leave. Okay. So she's not like, I'm still a lot older, but I'm thinking about that. And like when you guys were young,
Mhm.
I wouldn't want you doing the crap I was doing because it was not good. But but at least I wasn't learning to summon demons and mirrors from somebody at Catholic school. Sierra. God. Ridiculous. Anyways.
Supposed to be learning the opposite at Catholic school.
Yeah, exactly. So this girl tells her, right? And she says, and if that doesn't, listen, she went into detail. She says, if that doesn't work, she said, get a bowl of salt water. So then she goes into the bathroom, like the day, this was a few months before, right? She goes, I go into the bathroom and I do this a few, like right after. She's like, and I took my little brother with me and we both tried it and it didn't work. Now he's like 13. He's like not interested. He's like, I don't want to die. This is scary. And so then the girl tells her the next day at school, oh, wait, the bowl of salt water, there's a bowl of water, then you have to have a bowl of salt, not the salt in the water. The salt is to protect you, and the water is to face the mirror and all this other crap. So there's all these different formulas, right? That's supposed to be like, do this, and this will summon whatever. Bottom line is this, and I'm going to say this right now on my channel. Do not do this. Do not try any of these things. Do not summon whatever the hell this is, right? Because you may not like the results, because you may summon whatever the heck this demon is. It's a predator regardless, because what showed up there is something that you would never want to happen to you in a million years. Trust me. They were in the bathroom. They had this bathroom. The house had been remodeled, so the bathroom was the one that was downstairs. It was they added onto it or whatever, and it was like it had a shower and some other stuff. And she said that it used to be just a bathroom, just like a big open room, and it wasn't. We turned it into a bigger bathroom. So she said that the shower curtain was closed, and when they did this, they heard a snort, kind of like a not to put the idea in your head, but to somebody is snorting something like, like that. And then she goes, what the heck is that? She goes, I had never heard that before up to that point in my life. She said that the shower curtain started kind of moving, like something was popping around in it, and they heard a grunt come from the shower curtain, and they all screamed and freaked out. The candle went out, which is something that everybody reports, right? The candle just goes. Then this thing, whatever it is in the shower. It tears the shower curtain down, and as they're fleeing out of the bathroom, Brenda turned around and got a look at this thing. She was the first one to see it, and it didn't appear in the mirror the way a lot of people say, well, it shows up in the mirror and you see it in the mirror, right? The first appearance of this thing did not pop up in the mirror. It was in the bathtub, in the shower, which was rarely used. And the curtain came down, and this thing that she saw looked like a hideous hag, like a woman with hollowed out eyes and big fangs, like kind of in the front of where the incisor should be. There were these two big teeth. And she says that this thing just kind of ran out at her and put its hands out, and she closed the door. And they heard a thud hit the bathroom door, and they were all screaming at the top of their lungs. And the other three girls who were anticipating something were too scared to go into the bathroom with her. They sat outside the bathroom and they were screaming and freaking out, and they heard something banging around the bathroom. So of course she goes and gets her uncle, and she gets her dad, and she gets her cousins, and the guys come down. They're all upstairs shooting pool, whatever. It's a pretty decent sized house. They come downstairs, and there's this panic going on. Well, they began all talking at one time, talking over each other. Oh, we summoned something. We did this thing that everybody talks about in school and blah, blah, blah. One of the guys, it was her uncle. One of them went over there to the door. He's the youngest of her uncles, and he's a little more brash and doesn't really care. He's in the military. He goes over there and opens the door. And he's like, see, nothing there, nothing. And so they all just go back upstairs. These girls are frantic and they're panicking. They all go back to her room. But then later in the night, one of them gets sent downstairs. Well, it's supposed to be two of them. But you know how people are. One of them does the work and the other one just plays around and goes, I'll help you. And they run to the bathroom. That's what happened. So one of the girls goes downstairs. This is one of the girls who wasn't in the bathroom, didn't see it, didn't know anything about it, other than she was outside the door and what they said. She's getting snacks from the kitchen, and she says she looks over into the den and she hears something moving around as she's getting, by what I was told by Sierra, she's like, we had grapes and cake and all kinds of crap. She was throwing some stuff together. Another girl was supposed to be down there helping her. I don't know her name, but she decided to go to the bathroom and just sit in there and just be that kind of girl, whatever. And so then this girl sees something crawl on the floor on all fours, and it looked like a girl, like a teenage girl, like a girl. And she's thinking in her mind, the first thing that came to her mind, first she was afraid, like terrified, right? Then she's thinking, okay, my friend is trying to scare me, because it looked like one of her friends wearing like a nightgown, right, crawling on the floor.
Mm-hmm.
Then she's like, I'm turning around, and she goes, I couldn't help it. I was terrified. So I went across the room and I turned the light on to the den. She goes, and for a split second, I saw something standing in the corner with its arms out, and it looked like a woman, like a hag. She said that it had like grayish white hair and like stringy, like pieces of hair that were dark, kind of like, like somebody that was graying,
Yeah.
But the face looked horrible. The face looked like it had claw marks all over it. Like it had been, and her lips looked like they had been just chewed on, And the eyes, there were no eyes. There was just black holes where the eyes should have been. So she drops everything and runs up the stairs, and this thing takes off after her. She gets up to the top of the stairs, and she turns around. This thing is looking up at her from the landing. And she says at this point, she's like screaming at the top of her lungs. Her mom and dad come out of the room. They're tired. It's like 11 o'clock at night. They've been doing stuff all day. And they're like, what now? And this girl runs into the bedroom and cries. And her parents live 2 towns over. And this actually wasn't just this was a cousin by marriage. So her parents lived 2 towns over. They had known each other their whole lives. About 2 weeks later, they have a little get together over there in that town their cousin lives at. And so they showed up, the girl that saw. She had refused to talk about it. And then that night, when they were having a barbecue, it was about 2 months later, she says that her friend tells her, this is what I saw. She's like, I will never go to your house again. Well, in between that sighting that she said she had in the den and her telling her about it, a whole bunch of stuff transpired, not the least of which was about a week after this incident. For an entire week, she had a bunch of knocking like on her door. Mm-hmm. She'd think it was her little brother. At one point, she thought it was her half brother who had come back to get some of his stuff or whatever, and she thought it was him. It wasn't. She had her own private phone line. She was getting calls from the phone, and it was like somebody would talk in this weird language. She didn't understand it, and she thought maybe somebody was pranking her. One of the most terrifying things that happened to her, she was in the restroom and it was in the middle of the night and somebody was turning the doorknob. She thought it was her little brother and he was messing with her. So she told him, you know, you need to leave me alone, quit playing, whatever. And she goes, and then she hears this like hissing noise. She's like, and then she sees underneath the door, the bottom of the door, a hand slide underneath the door. And she's looking down. She's like, she can't believe what she's looking at. She's like, I was half asleep. She's like, and I look down and I see this hand. She's like, and then I see the fingers go up and I see it start to pull on the door. Like it's trying to, she's like, and before my eyes, the hand, it was just looked like a woman's hand, almost like my mother's hand, turns gray with black fingernails, and the fingernails are elongated, and it's starting to scratch the bottom of the door till it was like the door was partway. It looked like a dog had chewed it up. And she's screaming. So there again, her dad comes and what's going on? He doesn't see anything. Well, that's what he said. A few days later, she hears her mother and her dad in the garage talking, and he was like, I don't know what I saw. She's like, I was eavesdropping. I'm not going to lie. Because my dad was like, I don't know what I saw. I saw something by the door, and it ran real fast, and it went into her bedroom. He's like, and I walked into the bedroom, and I saw something move into the closet. Well, here's a weird thing, too. She said in the middle of the night, she was awakened, and there was something in the closet moving around. She could see it moving around. She said, I had gotten so sick of this. She goes, I grabbed the Bible and some holy water. She goes, I had talked to the priests, and I had told them what had happened. I talked to one of the nuns that was at CCD. They told me this prayer to do. They told me, you know, do this, do that. Eventually, we had a priest come to the house, and the priest told her, this was from another church, one town over. The priest told her, he said, this is not, your house isn't haunted. You are. He says, you have something demonic that's now following you. What did you do? And she had to fess up. She told him, she goes, well, I've already told the other priest. He goes, well, tell me because I don't know. And he said, she goes, yeah, well, we did this little ritual thing. He goes, a little ritual thing, right? Okay, that's impressive. Now you have this demon that's attaching itself to you. And it was a feminine entity. Here's the thing. This thing is in the closet, and she's like terrified because she can see it kind of moving around. She's like, she goes, you ever seen those horror movies, which I really don't watch a lot of horror movies, but she says, you know, the horror movies where something like will happen and then there's this jump afterwards. She goes, it was just like that. She's like, there was this little stuffed doll I had, a little stuffed animal, and there was like a rabbit, not a rabbit, a dinosaur, a little baby dinosaur. She says, like it came flying out at me. She's like, and he hit my foot. It was like the Land Before Time, one of those little stuffed whatever. And she's like, I was looking at it. She goes, and I look up, and I just, I can't see it. It's just dark, and it's weird because the rest of the room, it's lit up enough. You know how your eyes adjust? Yeah. She's like, my eyes should have adjusted, but I couldn't see what was in that closet. I could not. It was just black, like the abyss. Her words, not mine. And then she said that this thing just came flying out at her and knocked her backwards, and then went over the top of her, and then it went down behind her bed. And I'm like, it went down behind your bed. She goes, yeah, it crawled over me like really quickly, went over the top of my bed and went down behind it, like where the back of my bed, where my bed touched the wall. And she's like, and I had a headboard at that time. So this thing was like, it was probably there, you know? And I'm like, oh, that's lovely. And so she says, I was terrified. So I ran into my parents' bedroom, woke them up again. She's like, I'm like, I'm 16 years old. I'm over here crying and I'm scared to death of a spirit, you know? And I told her, I said, well, this isn't a normal spirit. I mean, this isn't Slimer from the Ghostbusters. I mean, you're telling me this is something really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, this is demonic, you know? And so she asked me if what I thought the Bloody Mary spirit was. And I told her, I said, well, it's a demonic entity. And I said, have you ever heard of a tulpa or egregore? She says, no. I started telling her, I said, it could be a thought form of a collective consciousness that we create by all of us thinking and believing that this is real. And she says, oh, wow. She goes, could that be what the Dogman is? I said, yeah, because she'd been, her brother had kind of forced her to watch my show. He's like, look at it. But anyway,
Gives her the Clockwork Orange chair to
yeah,
watch it in.
she's got the eyes like,
Yeah.
She's like, okay, I see it. This guy, I see his big head. So she's like, she said, I've been checking out your show and I thought about that. Maybe vampires and werewolves. I said, yeah, but vampires and werewolves are definitely real in my book. A lot of people think I'm crazy for believing that. They believe what they want. It's there. Let them believe what they want. I know what's there. And so I told her, I said, we don't know for sure, but this could be just a demon that appears when you summon it. It just could be as simple as that. I don't know. You can draw your own conclusions. You can decide what you want to believe. But what she told me was that this thing had the ability to physically harm them. She had a little wiener dog. Okay. I don't know his name. I mean, she didn't tell me, but she says my little dog got picked up and thrown against the wall and we had to put him down. She's like, we were all sitting there watching a football game and it was crazy. It happened in front of several people. He just went flying into the wall, and then the TV got just yanked out of the wall, like the cord was unplugged. It was very much demonic poltergeist activity. And like I've said before, and it doesn't always happen like that. It's not every day. She's like, there would be weeks would go by, maybe 1 or 2 weeks, She's like, but then it would start up and it would be really vicious. And there would be things that would happen, like in the house. Like the electricity went out one time when it stormed. And then she's like, for 2 days, when the electricity came back on, everybody saw this thing like run down the hallway, right? She's like, we all just kind of happened to be in that one spot and it just ran like it was following us. She's like, and then for like 2 days after that storm, we had some terrible noises and it sounded like in the middle of the night, somebody they would wake up to something moaning and groaning and making this noise like it was in like it was in pain, but not like it was a sharp pain, but like, just somebody was having this is my words. I thought about it. I thought
Like a
maybe it's
person?
like a dull aching pain that they just can't stop, like, oh God, groaning, not a shriek, anything like that. Now, she did say one time when they had moved the pool table from the upstairs game room, they moved it down to the she said it was hard to move. She didn't have to do it, but the men did, and they moved it down into the garage. And she said her and a couple of her friends, and one of them was her friend that was with her, and her name was Kara. And Kara was one of the ones that was in the bathroom. Her friend Brenda never went back to that house. Don't blame her. She's the one that saw the thing and come out of the bathroom, come out of the tub. So her and Kara are there and they're playing pool. She's like, and we're not good at it, And she's like, and I hear this laugh. And my other friend's just sitting there looking at her phone. She's barely paying attention. She's like, and I hear this laughter coming. And we're all like, what is that? It was like a guy laugh. Like it was a male voice. She's like, and then we hear this shriek and it echoes in the garage so bad. And she's like, and the garage is set up like a game room, right? It's just like a room. But she's like, it just became like a foreboding and terrifying place. I didn't want to be in there anymore. She goes, I just ran out. She's like, I didn't go in the garage for like a month. And she goes, and then my friend Kara was like, that's it. She never came back. She left. She's like, I'm never going back to your house. That's it. We're done. Whatever. She's like, it was almost like we weren't friends anymore. She's like, I'd see her at school, and that was it. She's like, I went to the graduation party at her house, and so then there was this, Lola says, screw it, I'm going. What's going on? Oh, she's, I'm afraid to go to the bathroom. Well, take us with you so I can scare you in the restroom. So anyways, sorry about that, Lola. I'm trying to scare you, but so
You
what
won't be alone in there.
Hey, don't blame me. Okay. Don't hate the player, hate the game. All right.
Whatever you do, just don't look on the other side of your shower curtain.
If it starts to boom, 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 and
Yeah.
move,
You'll be safe as if you turn off the lights.
Like when you see that shower
start
curtain
screaming.
waving slowly back and forth, just don't worry about it. It's fine. I wouldn't worry about it if I were you.
As you wash your hands, look in the mirrors real deeply, and then look away real quick.
Yeah. And then when you close the medicine cabinet, never mind the reflection behind you.
Challenge these things to establish dominance.
Yeah.
Be like, you Me, you, mano y mano.
Make sure you flex in the
Hey, make
mirror.
sure your mirrors.
Be like, oh yeah, Ghost. What do you think of this?
Take your
You
shirt
gotta
off.
do that. Yeah.
make sure your reflection is doing exactly what you're doing. You never know.
Yeah.
That's actually a
Yeah.
fear of mine. You stare at it and it just starts smiling at you.
Take your shirt off and be like, "What's up, demon? You want to go? What's up, bro?
Yeah.
Come on, let's go." Take the shirt off and spin it around. You know,
I took Krav Maga, bro. You don't want to mess with
Krav
me.
Maga, man.
I took
Yeah,
Krav Maga and Capoeira, bro.
those are the toughest people on the planet, man.
Yeah.
They take this bullshit. That's why it's not in any of the MMA tournaments
Yeah.
because it's just so badass. It's made for killing. Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So that's my suggestion to you if you're going to go to the bathroom, right? I'm just going to let you know.
Our tips.
Do what?
Our tips to go to the
That's our
bathroom.
tips for restroom. You know, ass kicking good time when it comes to these things. So she says, you know, she goes, I got to the point where I avoided certain rooms because I didn't want to be by myself, feel boxed in or anything like that. She's like, I quit going to the den where the bathroom was right there connected to the den. She goes, I quit going into the freaking garage. She goes, I didn't go to the game room upstairs. It was ridiculous. Don't want to be in my room. I didn't want to do anything. She's like, it was scary. And it was just like, it was terrifying. And then eventually her parents had to face the fact that something was going on and they had some issues and they had seen some things. Her mother said something. She was in the garage one day and she was putting some stuff away in the refrigerator downstairs. She's like, my mom was a really good mom. Like she kept all the refrigerators stocked up with stuff. She goes, and we had like, you know, she knew what everybody wanted in the house and she would get what they wanted and do what they wanted. And this thing began to harass her. She goes, the biggest regret I had was that not only did we do this, but then it started messing with my parents. She's like, that's where it really just like, for me, it went into another level of whatever because of my parents. Because I couldn't allow it. And so she began to pray and pray and pray. And eventually her parents they waved the white flag and they said, we're going to move. Well, they moved. They moved to Corpus and then they were there for a couple of years, but the stuff kept happening. And eventually she believed the priest. She said, you know what? It's me. It's not you guys. And you guys are having to suffer for this. And so she decided to move on her own. And she moved up to San Antonio. And she met a guy in San Antonio. They're married. Now they have 2 children. Every now and then to this day, though, she will still hear noises or voices. And sometimes she'll hear a shriek. And she has nightmares periodically. She said to this day, at least once or twice a month, she'll have a really bad nightmare. I do too. I have nightmares. But, you know, so her brother, when all this was going on, about a month into all this, he was on the road and he was actually working for a construction company and they were driving up to Oklahoma to do a job. And he says, when we were heading to Oklahoma, he's like right around where we crossed the border. Oh God, he gave me the name of the town. Hold on. I can't remember that. I don't have it. I don't have it. I didn't put my notes over. Anyways, look it up. It's the town on the border with Oklahoma. I know the town. It's the town, the birthplace of Dwight D. Eisenhower. You look it up.
That should make it easy.
I think it starts with a D or something like that. It's right there on the border. Unless somebody in the audience was to help me, because I know that that's where it was at. It was right there. Is it Ardmore? I'll look it up, dude. I don't know how it could be that hard to look up that.
I'm looking it up. Denison?
There's right there, Denison, Texas. Like, how did it take so long to look it up? I just typed it in.
Too.
I typed it in and it just came right up. Denison. That's right. Denison. Okay. So Durant is in Oklahoma. No, but he was right there outside of Denison, right before you get into Denison. It's right there on the Oklahoma-Texas border, right? It's the birthplace of Dwight D. Eisenhower, the president. One of many presidents is from Texas. And so I say many because we had LBJ, and then we had George Bush, who really wasn't from Texas, but claims he was from Texas and went around going, I'm a cowboy. Ooh, I have a ranch. No, you're not a cowboy. And yeah, you had a ranch, but you weren't really from here. You were like a Yankee. So shut up. Can't stand you. Dumbest person ever until we had Biden. So, anyways, this guy, he sees this thing run across the highway, like 4 lanes of traffic. He goes, and it's late at night. It's like 11, 12 at night. This thing runs across the road. He goes, and when it gets to the right of my truck, he goes, I am in the passenger side. My friend's driving. He goes, there's 2 of us. We got a bunch of supplies, and it's not a truck, it's a van. And he goes, and then we had a couple other guys that were going. They were ahead of us. We were the last one. Nobody saw it but us. He said, but it was me and my friend. He goes, and we look over. He goes, and I see this thing, and it's standing there looking at me. He goes, and it was real fuzzy looking, like the hair was like if you blow dried a freaking Pomeranian, right? Well, that was my words. I said, like think of a Pomeranian, because he said those little poofy dogs. I said, like if you were to get it wet and then blow dry it, right? He says he looks over and he sees this hair flying everywhere and these eyes. He goes, there were these big yellow eyes. He's like, and there was a snout, not a real big one, but you could see a snout, and it had these little skinny arms and skinny legs, and the hair was poofed out all over it. He goes, and at first I thought it was almost like a porcupine, but it wasn't. It was just its hair. Like it was just weird. It was like a big hairball. He goes, but you could tell this creature was skinny. It just had a lot of hair. He goes, but the eyes were just piercing through my soul. Is his words. He's like, man, I looked at it. I made eye contact with it, and it looked like a demon or kind of like a werewolf. And he said, I never saw anything before or after or since that time. He's like, but I thought it was interesting timing because I saw it right around the time that all this crap started with my sister. He's like, and then we get to Oklahoma. We get to our destination, which was 3 hours into the interior of Oklahoma. He's like, and then I ended up, which bush, mini fist, both of them. They're all terrible. They're all of them. Every bush is terrible. But I'm not on the other side. Don't get me wrong. They're absolutely abhorrent. But so anyways, he was driving and he goes 3 hours in, we get to our destination. We go to sleep. He goes, I had to get up early. I had to sleep on the way. He goes, but I couldn't sleep. I couldn't sleep. He goes, and then when I got there, he goes, I was just like, nightmare after nightmare. He goes, I had this nightmare that this woman, this psychopath, like psychotic, evil, like hag was chasing me around a house. He goes, it wasn't the house down in the Rio Grande Valley. It wasn't anywhere I had been. He goes, and then I would run out of the house, and then this werewolf-like creature, he goes, kind of like the one I saw, but larger, more aggressive looking, was chasing me. He goes, and then I would wake up, and then I'd go back to sleep, and it would happen over again. He said, and that happened for like a week. And it started after he saw that creature. He's like, so I don't know if it had anything to do with it. I think it does, me personally. Because I think these things are an in-between type of creature. They're almost like they move between worlds, That's my opinion on that. I don't, and you can argue with me all day long about it. I don't know. What is this? Mark says white fascist warmongering produce Congress, whether a Democrat vote, it doesn't matter. Billions of American taxpayers are going to. Yeah, well, but so we have another story which is very similar to this one, and I thought this was interesting. And like I said, I remember getting this one a few years ago, and it was like during COVID, like when COVID first started. So it was like like 5 years ago, something like that. And so this story, let me get the notes for that one real quick. So this story was sent to me. Her name is Marissa. Okay. And it was her and her sister Sabina. Okay. Their stepsisters, and then their friend Kendra. And I'll get this. Synchronicities, right? It's just crazy. This happened in the Napa Valley. Once again, we have the Rio Grande Valley here in Texas. 3 girls, right? This happened in Napa Valley. 3 girls, right? Mark, what do you mean truth hurts? Who are you hurting? What are you talking about? You're not hurting me. I'm not a white supremacist or a Jewish supremacist, whatever the hell you're talking about. I don't care. So anyways, these 3 girls from California, right? This happened to them, right? And so it was crazy. Like, these girls, they come from a pretty wealthy family. They had a pretty nice big house, and their friend Kendra came over, and they wanted something to do. Now, I did get in touch with Sabina. I managed to get in touch with her, and she gave me the story and was like, yeah, you can use it. Go ahead. And so she sent it to me in its entirety. And then I asked a few questions, and here we are. Well, I think it's interesting. And Anthony, we talked about these particular stories.
Mhm.
3 females,
Yep.
both times. Interesting that both of them lived in valleys.
Yeah.
That was interesting, right? And they happened at sleepovers. The messed up thing is it actually happened at their friend's house, their friend Genevieve. And I feel bad for her because she ended up catching a lot of problems from this thing. Here's the difference. The difference was that this entity that appeared in the mirror, well, let me just tell you what happened. So they decided to do the same formula. They go into the bathroom. There's actually 4 girls hanging out. 3 of them went into the bathroom to do it. The 4th one, the one whose house it was like, y'all go ahead. I'm not doing that. So she was on the phone with her boyfriend. This happened in 2015. They are literally 16, 17-year-olds. This girl is about 10 years younger than what happened with Sierra. So they go into the restroom. They do the whole thing, summoning this whatever. The one girl whose house it was stayed in the the bedroom talking to her boyfriend, whatever. These girls went down the hall, went into the bathroom, and did this. Scream, come running out of the bathroom. The parents aren't there. That's the thing. There were no parents there, and it wasn't anybody's birthday. But same thing happened. Except this thing appeared in the mirror, okay? And according to Sabina, the one that I talked to, her and Marissa, who are stepsisters, but they're the same age. They're born 4 days apart. Best friends too. And actually, it's a really interesting story. They were instrumental in getting their parents together. It's kind of a cool story, actually, that in of itself. But we're not here for that. We're here to make you scared. So we don't care about love stories. Kendra, the friend, she's black, right? She was like, I don't want to do this. But they tried it with them too, and then nothing happened. So they said, maybe we get another person in there. They didn't. They knew they weren't going to get Genevieve. She didn't want to do it. She's like, I'm on the phone. I'm not going to, I don't want to, don't do that. I don't, And she was asking them not to do it, but she's like, admittedly, kind of halfway doing it because she was on the phone with her boyfriend. So she was like, I got bigger things. I got bigger problems, than demons, I'm in love at the age of 16. Everybody knows that's when you find true love.
Oh, that's the only time to find.
That's Romeo and Juliet time.
Yeah.
Right? So she's like, I got things to do. I can't be, over here encountering these creatures. They're in the bathroom. She got up to walk because she heard all this noise. She goes and knocks on the door, and she's like, are y'all okay? And they're like, come in here with us. They tried to grab her and drag her in the bathroom, and she struggled and got loose, all of them laughing and whatever. Never really thinking that something nefarious could really happen. And by her own words, she says, I really didn't believe that anything could really happen. I just didn't believe it. I spoke to her briefly. I didn't talk to the other girls, but I talked to her and Sabine. And Sabine says, it wasn't my idea. It was Marissa's idea. She's like, and I would have never gone along with it if she hadn't, tried so hard to get me to do this. Because when Marissa was a child, her older sister, her blood sister, who was now old and not old, but older and, graduated high school, whatever. She's 6 years older than them. She wasn't there. She was like 22, something like 20, 21, something like that. And she said that they had summoned something and they caught a glimpse of it. And they said it looked like a witch. That's all she knew, right? This thing that appeared in the mirror to them in the valley there in California was not a witch. What appeared to them looked like a freaking werewolf with horns. She said that when Sabine's words, she said when we summoned it, the mirror lightened up. She's like, we had the lights off, completely off. Kendra had a flashlight. She kept turning it on, and she was terrified. She kept trying to leave, and we got in front of the door, and we kind of laughingly told her, "Don't do that," whatever. And she's like, "Girl, you got to get out of the way. I'm going to poop myself. I'm scared." Blah blah blah. They're all laughing or whatever. And then Kendra says, "Look at the mirror," and she gets this serious look on her face. And then she just starts panicking, jumping up and down. Sabina and Marissa look at the mirror, and Marissa runs to the door and tries to open it. She cannot keep her hand on the doorknob. The doorknob is hot, like there's a fire. Sabine is like, "What?" She goes to grab it. She doesn't feel the fire. She feels something else. She said that the doorknob was cold and slimy. Whatever this entity was that appeared in the mirror, it created some sort of gel, like a residual that was left on the mirror, in the sink, and on the door going out into the hallway.
Gross.
They said it was like a pink slime. Yep. Like velvet, not velvet, violet pink slime. That's the way they described it. And I did speak to Genevieve very briefly, because she still has a haunting going on in her house to this day. Right, that her she don't live there anymore, but her parents' house is still haunted to this day. Her dad had a horrible accident, which she thinks eventually led to him. He was paralyzed, and then he passed away in 2021. And her mother is convinced that this crap that they did, well, bringing in somebody who doesn't really know what they're doing, that could have contributed to it too, because they brought somebody in, shamanic, whatever, without any kind of Christ-based anything, and it just made this thing go crazy. I wouldn't suggest that. I would say let's stay faith-based. That's me, and I know what works, folks. I'm not the guru of all this, but I can tell you, I know what works. I know what doesn't. That's not going to work. It's going to cause problems. It's going to exacerbate the situation. Thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. Dark Sea, thank you for that. Appreciate the donation. So what ends up happening with this entity? They see it like it just showed up, like it was just there. The way they described this creature was almost like if you take an old, this is their words, and of course these are young people back then, they think everything's old-timey, right? Like from like 1998, the olden times, the old long ago, the before time. A dream world.
Back when everyone was poor. Not like
Back
they are
when nobody
now.
had an iPhone.
Yeah.
There was no iPhones. What? How did we survive without the iPhone?
Back when things were black and white.
Yeah. Right before the world had color.
Yeah. Oh man.
They have dirt floors back then, live in caves.
I'll tell you the funniest. I saw some girl. There was some crap on Instagram. And is he okay?
Yeah.
All right, buddy.
Big Joe.
You just gotta let him get through it.
There's nothing you can do to help him. You can't help him do it.
I mean, I've already given him his spray and given him his medicine.
Oh man. Hang on, folks.
He's got it.
Okay. All right, there we go.
If he starts again, I'll take him out.
Yeah, I'll just go be with him or whatever. Don't let him be alone. But so sorry about that. That's Banjo. He's not doing good. Pray for him. He's a good little dude.
There you go.
So he doesn't have heartworms. We just got him checked recently. All of them. We got them all checked. He's got a collapsed trachea, and it's not a good thing to have. So I'm just listening. I don't want him. So where were we? So the creature just appeared, and they said it looked like an old-timey photograph, like a black and white photo. And it just looked like a werewolf, but it had these horns. Like you could see the ears, but it had horns. Like they were these backward curved black horns, spirals. over the coming weeks, and this is something that I talked to Sabine and Genevieve. She said that Sabine said you got to talk to Genevieve, but she says something followed me and Marissa to our house, and it did the same thing to Kendra, and it began grabbing us in our beds at night, and it looked like this werewolf with horns. Not only did it appear at their bed, but at one point she goes, I was in the house by myself. My family had gone on this little field trip that day to some place that they wanted to go check out. It was like a winery, whatever, that was opening up, and their family had one, and that they were involved in. And she's like, so we went down there, and the next day I came home because I had things I had to do. She's like, I had cheer practice. I was in all these school activities. And so she said, my stepsister that lived there, she goes, she was with her boyfriend. So my family was gone. It was just me. She's like, I had an older brother, or our brother. He was always gone with his girlfriend. So nobody was there. She's like, and I hear this talking, which sounds like people having a conversation. He goes, but it was some kind of weird, like language. She goes, it wasn't Spanish. She's like, I know Spanish. She's like, in fact, she's Hispanic. So she went downstairs. She didn't see anything. She goes back up, and she goes, at the top of the stairs, as I'm starting to walk up, I look and I see these. She's like, the way the feet looked, she goes, I can only describe it. She's like, there was this hair, like this brownish, reddish hair. She's like, and there were these two weird looking toes and what looked like a hoof. The toes were like coming out of a hoof.
Mm.
She's like, and I look up, and there is this creature with these horns, and it's standing there. She goes, I got a good look at it. She's like, and it was just staring at me with these big eyes. Oh, wow,
Oh,
Jason.
man.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
that
for
donation.
Jason.
Whoa,
That's crazy.
Thank you, man.
Makes it worthwhile to actually be here tonight. I'm joking. Thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. And so,
Rub his throat.
yeah, rub his throat maybe.
Yeah.
Ask Nelly what to do, because she had Igor, or forgot his name. She had a Chihuahua that years ago that had the same thing.
You got it, Bubba? You want that?
It hurts because, dogs don't live. Dogs and cats, you always outlive them. Unless you yourself are, something happens to you. But typically you go through multiple cats and dogs and never get over it. I think about my pets that have crossed over. Hang on, folks. All right. She sees this creature at the top of the stairs. She's like, it wasn't like it wasn't real long drawn out encounter. She goes, it might've been 2-3 seconds. She's like, I just saw the feet. I look up and I see the creature's face. It's like just big old eyes looking at me. They were white. They weren't glowing red or yellow or anything like that. She goes, they were white. They weren't serpentine. They just had black circles, like for dots, for eyes. It's like a black circle with like a black,
Yeah.
And she said, I look and I see this thing just staring at me, and then it's gone. She goes, and I ran out of that house so fast. She's like, and I saw it once more. KM Hill Country Deuce says, how do we donate?
Can we get some of the mods to answer that for her?
Yeah. So she sees this creature. She runs out of the room. Now, another time, this is horrifying. She was getting into her car to go to cheerleading practice. She goes, I look up and I see this thing in the window. I said, oh, is it the same? She goes, no, it wasn't. It was the same thing. She's like, it was canid looking, but it didn't look like that. It didn't have these big spiraling horns on its head. And this thing had humongous shoulders too. She said it was probably 3 feet wide if she had to estimate. But the one in the window just looked kind of like she said it just looked kind of like a fox in the face, and it was just staring at her. And she was like, what is that? And she had gotten to where she was taking her dog with her everywhere she went because she was terrified to leave them alone in the house.
Sure.
And so there was another dog there. There was her dad's dog. And her mother had 2 cats. And she goes, dude, I started taking, she's a good person, really. She is. Because Sabine said, I started taking all the animals with me. She goes, we were going to Starbucks. We were traveling together. Every day I would take them to go get a boba tea or whatever it was. I was doing something. And she said it was getting ridiculous. She goes, I was scared to leave the animals there. I don't leave them there by themselves. She's like, we didn't have a big dog. We had a big dog before, but his name was Bear, and he had passed away. And so she's like, we didn't have any, So she said that it gotten to the point where she's like, I told my mom and dad, I was like, I know you see this. She goes, we're sitting there, and my mom had made some pasta, and we're eating, And she said it's a very interesting mix. She's Italian and Hispanic. Her mother is Hispanic, her dad's Italian. And it's funny because her mother would cook Mexican food, and then her dad had, her grandmother, he had all these recipes, and so she would make spaghetti and stuff, but she would mix it together. Like she made this spaghetti. It sounded really interesting. I'm going to actually talk to Nelly about it. But she would make something with the Fidel noodle. I said noodles, Fidel noodles. And she would make it with this like ground beef, but she would put the spaghetti sauce in there with it, with like this real finely ground jalapeno. I know this is food. I'm over here talking. She's over here telling me about these demons, and I'm like, go back to the food.
Yeah.
What is it? What is that recipe with the lasagna you had? It was like a Mexican twist to it, right?
Let's table your story for
Just a moment.
We'll circle back to it.
Yeah.
If we can just zero in on the lasagna.
Yeah. That asada you were talking about. Man. How did you do that? And you said you had some kind of fettuccine with that. What was up with that? Italian Mexican fusion? No, but it's pretty. And then now her brother has a food truck. I can't remember the name of it. I want to say it's like the name of that Sopranos, Satriel, something like that.
Yeah.
And I know that's not correct. It's something like that though. But he has so her brother lives in like Pennsylvania now, in Pittsburgh. He's got a job there, and he's in marketing, whatever. But he has a food truck that he has somebody works for it, and it's like a part-time thing. But he has a food truck. I'll look it up. I'll try to post it in the group. And it's got like Italian and Mexican fusion. Like and it does really well. It does really good. I have a friend that actually does that with Arabic food and Mexican food. It's really cool. So I was interested when she was telling me all that. Anyway, sideline. Let's get back to the story. So she says she's looking up and she sees this weird looking fox-like thing. Thank you for that, Hill Country. Appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
And she says she sees it looking out the window, and she's just like, what the hell is that? She's like, I go to the coffee shop. I meet my friend, Kendra. She's there. She's like, her dad said he wanted to talk to us. So we go back to the house. Her dad really, really, I'm not going to say his name right, whatever, but he played football for USC. Let's put it that way. And a lot of people know who he is because he was a great college athlete. And so he said, what did you guys do? And I need you to be honest with me. And she told him, she's like, look, we summoned the devil. It's nothing to panic about.
In a nutshell.
I just can't be like in the living room, the den, the second living room. I can't be in the garage, outside, front, backyard, upstairs, or the loft, or any of the other bedrooms or bathrooms. Other than that, I am perfectly okay. And especially stay away from the closets.
And in my defense, you did kind of enable this by giving me too much freedom. And you should have known I'm an irresponsible teenage girl with other teenage girl friends. You should never have allowed me to have a sleepover. Your irresponsibility is to blame for this, not mine. You're the adult here. So that's all I'm saying. I'm a teenage girl.
As we all know,
Yeah.
when teenage girls are left alone, they summon demons.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
When teenage boys are left alone, we become like philosophers. Like that's where Aristotle and Socrates came from. Yeah. But when teenage girls hang out, they just summon demons.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you either become Plato.
Yeah. Yes.
Right. Or Dana Plato.
This is where the great works of Western literature came from. It's just boys being boys.
Yeah. You start taking drugs. Next thing you know, you're robbing liquor stores. Everybody's always, I feel terrible about, because everybody talks about different strokes. Dana Plato.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah.
She was such a good kid. Like, how does anybody remain a good kid when they're a child star? It doesn't work because you have all these damn demented Hollywood people. Yeah, they're horrible.
They're basically just like slaves,
They
They're
prey upon them.
enslaved by
Oh,
their own
Macaulay
parents.
Culkin's just people say like that's an extreme case, but that's what always happens.
That's like the
Yeah.
most normal case.
Danny
Yeah.
Bonaducci.
Because he actually came around. His life is back around. So
If you ever go and listen to some of the, because like that group that I was in, it has like 200 something thousand. Back then, it did a few years ago. I don't know if it's. I don't even where I got this particular story from. There are so many stories, and I remember one of those groups. It's like that. It was one of those groups, and it was about celebrities and the hauntings and stuff. And I don't remember if it was the group or if it was just a story, like something they were talking about in the group. But they were talking about all these different hauntings and stuff, and they were talking about the sets being haunted,
Mhm.
like on a lot of these movies and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And these children have to be around all of that. But you got to remember, though, these are adults who are probably doing evil, demonic things. So their
Yeah.
demonic entities are going to be around them.
Well, plus
Right.
these producers that they probably do like actual ceremonies on those sets before they start using them. It's probably like the first thing they do before they even start the movie.
Oh, my
Like
gosh. It's
filming,
horrible
you
to think about.
Yeah.
So, anyways, he talks to them. He goes over there. He talks to her dad, and he talks to the other child's dad, and the parents. Basically, they all get together, and they all know each other, and they're friends. They're not best friends or anything like the kids are, but they know each other, and they've struck up friendships or whatever. And so Genevieve's dad, he's a finance manager guy, whatever. He makes pretty good money, does a good job. Or he has a good job, whatever. And so they all talk about this, and they are wealthy people, and they go to a country club. So they go meet at the country club. While they're talking about this, a few other people that are there that are their friends, they start talking about how the children have been doing all kinds of crap. Not just this, but like playing with Ouija boards and doing all kinds of. So they kind of had a crackdown on all the children. They went in, they took out all their Ouija boards. They told them no more playing around with these, and they realized that a lot of this stuff was coming from the school. And not only was it coming from the school, but there were like educators that were there that encouraged this behavior and were into witchcraft and into all of this garbage. And these teachers were like, "Oh, it's cool, it's okay. Yeah. I did it because I'm an idiot. So you go play around with that shit." And so they had a big old thing where they ended up in I'm not gonna say the name of the school, but in that particular school where they all went, they had a parent teacher meeting, and they called a big meeting, and they said, "Look, our children have been exposed to this and this stuff. They found out about it from some of the educators here. And this is real." And to me, that just speaks volumes about how lost we are as a society, where the worst people are teaching our children. The worst people are being put up on a pedestal. Oh, vote for this piece of shit. These politicians are making tons and tons of money by being a politician. You're supposed to be a civil servant. You're supposed to be working for the people. If you get elected, your job is to serve the people, not to line your pockets and do satanic things. But that seems to be the order of the day. And I can't believe like how much they uncovered. There was a whole bunch of stuff that was going on. And they were asked not to talk to the media about it. They would fix the problem. And they did, I guess, for the most part. But these children got the idea for this from a substitute teacher. She told them that when she was living out in North Carolina, and she was this liberal that moved, and I'm sure liberal, be a liberal, I don't care. But she moved to California to be a liberal, be around other, because, I guess North Carolina, there's a lot of people that aren't that way. And so she was just like, I used to do this and I did that and I play with Ouija boards and I'm fine. I'm on my second gay marriage, my child doesn't know what his gender is, and he's got flipping rainbow hair and, and whatever. Literally, this isn't even this is my words, but it not totally, because Genevieve's dad and Kendra's dad both kind of said the same thing. Now, Kendra's dad's black. He's not a liberal. And he was just like, this is ridiculous. These people were teaching our children this crap. I didn't speak to their dads, but I spoke to these ladies, and now, like I said, they're like in their late 30s, whatever. But you got to look at this situation here. I'm late 30s. I'm sorry, late 20s, and you got to wonder like how much of this has been perpetrated. Like systematically. They put these people in positions so that they can influence these children and get them going in that direction to be all into this. Don't love God, but definitely hate Christ. Just, love God as long as it's a God that they want you to serve, some sort of Moloch, Baal, whatever. That to me, it just speaks volumes. And when I heard that part, I was just like, but it is a weird thing. Like there's 3 girls there now. That concludes what they told me was basically just that they had seen this creature. As they got older, they all became born again Christians, and like in the true faith, like really not just going to church because their parents make them, or on Easter, which is what Genevieve was saying,
lip service.
but they started actually becoming devout Christians. And Kendra in particular, she's a very devout Christian, and she ended up meeting a guy from church, and so that's a good thing. She's with Marissa, not so much. Marissa is living down in Southern California, and she is an atheist, so all you can do is pray for people like that. But Sabina is a born again Christian. She kind of drifted away from her friendship with her stepsister Marissa because of her faith. Marissa didn't want anything to do with her. And the guy that she's with is he's kind of into that scene, So it is what it is. This weird situation, though, you have 2 stories, both of them, and they consist of 3 girls on each. Right? Go back to my friend Ricky's when we were kids. I knew Ricky from when I was a child. I think it was like in 4th grade when I met Rick. And we went, I lived in that town for a few years, and then we drifted apart because he was in high school and I played football against him. And he would always, we played once a year. We always play him. And he would always come up to me and find me after the game. He was a tight end. He played on the tight end, and I played on the line. So I'd hit him, sometimes. And, he'd try to kill me. I'd try to kill him. And after the game, he'd always come up to me. "What's up, brother?" And we'd talk. I saw him one time in my hometown. There was when the rodeo came to town. That's probably about 15 years ago. And I went there with my friends from high school. A few of us went. We went there, and I don't remember much. I drank. We just got hammered, and we just hung out, Gosh, that's probably like 2009 or 10 or something like that. And I saw him there, and we did talk about that particular situation. So I got back in touch with him. He's not on social media, but I got in touch with him because a couple of my friends are still friends with him over in that town. Know him pretty good. And he did go on to play college football. And so we were talking, and he told me, he says, "Dude, not only did that happen to me," he goes, "but when I was in college," he said, "I was going to a small college up in Michigan." He's like, "I encountered something like that because my college roommate, his girlfriend and her friend were in the bathroom, and they were doing that, summoning that thing." He's like, "So I go in there okay, I'm going to get graphic here, to take a deuce." He's like, he goes, "I go in there to take a deuce." He's like, and I'm sitting there looking up at the mirror, and I'm just like, I could see myself in the mirror. He goes, and then I started looking and my eyes began to change. He's like, and then I started noticing, like, no matter which way I turned my face, there would be like this, like weird residual, like it moved,
Yeah.
Now, he said one time when I was in college, he goes, I took mushrooms. He goes, and I remember how it looked. He goes, "Man, it freaked me out." That's how he talks. He's like, "Man, it freaked me out, dog." I was like, "No way for me. I can't do that." He's like, he goes, "I know that some people," I said, "Yeah, I've done them before," and he goes, "Yeah, and you get that weird where you can't focus your eyes." He goes, "That's what was happening to me." He's like, and I thought, "Am I high? Why am I seeing my face?" He goes, "That's all it was." He goes, "But I walked out." He's like, and then my roommate Darrell told me, he says, "Yeah, his girlfriend and her friend had done that, when they were all in there hanging out. He had gone for the weekend to another town to be where his girlfriend was at." He's like, and then I come back and my roommate tells me that, and maybe that's why you were seeing something weird in there. He's like, so I think back on when I was a child. He goes, you remember when we were kids? He goes, and I told you that we were playing Little League together. I remember that. And that team we had was really good. We ended up going to like Texas regionals that year. I told you about that, Anthony, when I was a kid. Like, yeah, me and him were like the two big bats on that team. We were really good. And so Ricky told me, he says, man, you remember when we were little? And, you know, we were probably like 12 years old, 11 years old, something like that. I think we were 11. And we were playing Little League, right? And we were talking about it. He goes, you remember my sisters did some shit like that? I said, yeah, I remember that. You were scared in your room all the time. Like, I remember because I went over there. I had a sleepover at his house one time. I said, it was me and you and this friend, a friend of ours, Scott, and this other kid, David. And we were all there. And his older sisters, they were goofy, man. They were twins. His older sisters were twins, and they were goofy. And they're always trying to get us to go in the bathroom with them. And I'm like, what are you trying to take me to the bathroom for? I didn't realize what they were trying to do. They were trying to get us to summon that thing. Like, I was like, what are y'all doing? What are you trying to pull me in the bathroom? And they were like a couple years older than us, right? I think I was like 11. They were like 13, 14, something like that. And they were like, y'all come in the bathroom. We're like, I was like, no way, dude. And I just go back and be playing video games, you know?
Evil
I'm like,
brats.
yeah, I'm like, I'm not going in that bathroom. I'm playing Nintendo.
Leave teenagers alone.
Yeah. So we had this little thing where we had these different action figures, right? And he had a big box of action figures. Like, he had a lot. He had more than I did. And like, he dumped them out. His dad used to work at the power plant with my dad. His dad was at the Alcoa. And my dad was an electrician. And so that's how we knew each other. And from school, but our parents went work together too. So he had all these like figures, right? Like He-Man and all this different stuff. So it was like 4 of us. So we each just picked a figure, and then we were going to build an army, right? And then everybody would fight, which all it is just slamming your figure into their figure, and then them going, he's not dead because I like him too much. Storm Shadow's still alive, but Man-at-Arms definitely dead. He's dead because he couldn't beat, you know. That's all it is. That's all it was, right? And then you get mad and it breaks down with you just playing with those toys, and then you get bored because you're by yourself. And then you said, okay, let's do something that's a group activity, right? That's kind of that's the dynamics.
That's how every
right?
kid activity happens.
That's always happens, right?
Laser gun. No, I have infinite shield.
Yeah. You can't hurt me. I'm invisible, dude. Come on, man. So we're playing. We have these action figures, right? Okay. Middle of the night, we were all tired, and one by one, everybody just kind of like started getting sleepy and crawled in the sleeping bag. And it was me. I'm trying to remember who all was there. It was Dave. It was one kid that was there. He left early. It was me and Scott. And I told Ricky, I said, you and David were asleep. And I'll never forget this as long as I live. And I was laying there, and he had like those, like, it was before the little stars and the galaxies you put on your ceiling or whatever. It wasn't that. It was like these little dinosaur stickers, and he had them all on his ceiling, but they were glow in the dark.
Yeah.
Like fluorescent. Fluorescent was real popular in the 80s, right? This is like mid 80s, right? I remember this. I was laying there, I had my hands like that. I'm like kind of like looking up at the, because I fall asleep like that sometimes. I'll stretch my back out. Ever since I was a kid, I'll just look up at the ceiling. And I was sitting there, and Scott was like, he's like, hey, Josh, do you see that? And I was like, I thought I saw what he was talking about. From the ceiling fan, it looked like these kind of like you can see the ceiling fan going, right? But you can see through it. You know what I'm talking about? Like you can see through the ceiling fan?
Yeah.
Okay. You can see like these swirling kind of like tentacles, and they were moving, and then they would go back.
Oh, what the hell?
So I wasn't like just automatically like, oh, this place is cursed, it's haunted, let's get out of this house. You know, this is middle class neighborhood. I mean, he was a black kid, but it was like we were all middle class kids, right? He lived like 2 streets over from me. All right. And that neighborhood, man, I've driven y'all through that neighborhood. It's full of oak trees, like a lot. It's huge. It's like a big forest.
Yeah.
And then there was all this uncultivated land that was just full of, like, we called it the trails, but it was like a damn jungle, like just bunches of trees, right? And we would ride our bikes through there, right? So I was laying there, and I was like, what is that? So I followed it, and I realized it was the shadow from a tree outside. So I was like, I said, that's a shadow. I said, oh, cool. We're good. So I start to fall asleep. Yeah, I was like, yeah, good. There's nothing scary, right? Then, but you know how you just start to fall asleep. If you're me, I start to dream like immediately. Like I'll start having these little mini dreams. Like I'll be like sleep, and then I already start dreaming. Right, I'm already like, and then somebody will wake me up, and I'm like, damn, I already had like a little dream, right?
Little adventure.
Yeah. And all of a sudden I hear like this, loud noise. And like I said, this is Ricky's house with his sister. they had gone into the bathroom and tried to summon some. Tanisha was her one sister's name, Tanika and Tanisha. Anyway, I remember hearing like this noise that came from like middle of the room, and it sounded like something had just dumped a bunch of stuff onto the ground. So I sat up and I looked, and because I was like, one of the last people to go to sleep, Ricky had his bunk, and then the top bunk, or he had his top bunk, and then the bottom bunk, David had crawled in there and gone. So I was sleeping next to it, right on his sleeping bag. I didn't care. It didn't bother me. And so I'm laying there and I look over into the middle of the room and I could see by the moonlight. Well, there was a backyard, a light from the backyard, right? So it wasn't the moonlight, but I could see it. And on the floor was a big box of Legos that had just been dumped out, along with like a bunch of action figures.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like stumped. I was like, what? And Scott was just snoring. Like it was just me. I was the only one awake. And so I just laid there and I was like looking, and I fell asleep staring at those toys on the floor. Because we had picked up the other box that was all the action figures. We had thrown them all in there. We were done playing with them. And so I just remember looking at those toys on the floor, and I'm going like, the next day I wake up, no bullshit. I wake up the next day, the boxes were put up on the shelf. Everything was put away. And so I was like, that's weird. It was like 8 a.m, like on a Saturday morning or something. And we get up, and back then it was Saturday morning cartoons, right? So we all ran into the living room, and we sat down. We were watching cartoons, and Ricky had an older brother. He didn't really take much interest in us. He was kind of in his own little world or whatever. I think his name was Desmond, and we called him Des. And he came in there into the den where we were at, and he was like, I told you about leaving your junk laying around everywhere. He goes, your stuff was scattered all in the hallway. And Ricky was like, what? And he goes, we didn't do that. And then we were all like kind of stumped. And Dave was like, I went to sleep early. I was tired. And hold on one second, folks. Banjos. So I was thoroughly stumped. I was like, like what the heck happened? And I said, okay. I was like, so last night, while I was asleep, and Desmond he had a transformer in his hand.
Uh-huh.
I still remember it too, man. Like I remember it was Blue Streak.
Yeah.
Those little things that came off the sides, like the doors or whatever. They're real fragile, and it was broken. And he goes, "This dude's broken." And he kind of tosses him or whatever. And I think he was like 15 or 16. He's 15 years old. He was like a teenager. He was into his own. He played baseball. And so we were, and he would like, the only time he ever interacted with us much, he would take us out to the field, and we would shag balls, and he would help us practice, right? He would do that kind of stuff. And then football season, we played Pee Wee League. He would help us and stuff. But other than that, I didn't really interact with him a whole lot. I mean, he was cool. I didn't have a problem with him, but that's all I really remember about him. And he told me, I remember we were sitting there, and his dad had grilled. And they asked us if we wanted to stay another night or if anybody wanted to go home. David went home, and me and Scott stayed, right? And it's fine. David was a sleepy-ass kid anyway, dude. I swear he was always the first one to go to sleep at every sleepover, dude. We'd be at the pool, and my friend Ronnie's pool, he'd be asleep in the lawn chair before we even got inside.
That's weird for a kid.
Yeah, he was like
never wanted to
narcoleptic,
miss out
bro,
as
for
a
real.
kid.
He was real, like he was always asleep, dude. He's a sleepy kid. He'd just be like, I'm asleep. So I remember this, and his dad goes, you guys want to stay? I'm going to grill some hot dogs or some burgers, whatever. So we're in the backyard. He had a big old backyard, and he had these cool dogs, man. And we were out there playing with them and stuff, and they were border collies. I remember that because we had border collies. Now I had a border collie because my mom got me one because I liked his border collie. My mom got me one and named it Rascal. And so we were in the backyard, and we were playing with the dogs or whatever, and Desmond sits down. He's like eating his food. He's like, so have you seen it yet? He asks me this point blank, right? And I'm like, I'm looking at him like, and I don't know what his friend's sitting there. His friend's this punk ass kid. I couldn't stand. He was always picking on everybody. And I was looking at his friend, kind of looking at him, waiting for him to. His name was Nick. He was this long haired kid. He had like earrings in his ears, and you're going like, ooh, he's evil, dude. He's bad. One of them's an upside down cross, dude. Oh my gosh. He's like, he's you think he's a bad dude, right? You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, he's an edgy, long haired guy, you know? And he's like, he asked you a question, man. And I'm all like, I don't know what you're talking about. He goes, Desmond he wasn't a bully. He was just, but he would let his friend be a shithead, you know?
Mhm.
And I said, what are you talking about? He goes, the thing. And I said, well, I had said earlier when we were watching cartoons, I said, you know, I woke up and there was Legos and toys on there, but they were all put away. And then Desmond goes, oh, his mama probably put him away for him because he's a little baby. And he slaps him beside the head. He goes, yeah, leave me alone, you know, that kind of thing. And the mother was like, no, I didn't do that. She had made us some waffles, right? So we were eating waffles in the morning. A few hours later, his dad's like, I'm going to grill some hot dogs in a little bit. So me and Scott and Ricky went with his dad to McVoy's, which was the meat market. It's a pretty cool place. And I liked it because they had one of those old, for me, I say old timey now, right? It was one of those where you pull the soda out of the machine.
Yeah.
From like the 40s and 50s. It was one of them old Coca-Cola machines, and you could get the little 10-ounce bottles or whatever. And so I like going there, and they had comic books, like a lot of comic books, Transformer comic books and shit. So I like going there. So we went there and we got the meat and everything. And his dad, they lived out on the edge of town in like a little subdivision, right? So we were driving back out there, and his dad was all like, don't be leaving your toys laying around. He goes, Desmond told me he's like, I didn't leave my toys out. And then he's like, well, how did Josh see him then? And I'm like, oh shit, you know? And I'm like, well, I just, you know, I think something dumped them out in the middle of the night. He goes, and his dad goes, what? And I said, I don't know. I don't know. It could have been anything. I said, maybe it fell. He goes, yeah, it probably fell. Well, then later we're eating hot dogs or whatever and hamburgers, and his brother sits down with this punk ass dude who was always picking on everybody. Luckily, I managed to stay away from him for the most part, but I saw him beat up other kids and shit. And when I got a little older, I was like, you better leave me alone, dude. Not for real, because he worked with Keith at that HEB place. And y'all know Keith.
Mhm.
And he said something smart ass to me. I was already like a teenager. I was like, I'll beat your ass, dude. And he was like, then he walked away. I was like, it was like, that was it. Don't be playing with me, dude. You already played around too much with other people. I've seen what you do. Don't even.
Mhm.
He said something to me. And Hector, one of our friends who worked there, he was a crazy ass dude with a glass eye. Got stabbed in the eye, literally. He's a crazy ass Mexican. And he told that guy, he's like, you better watch it, dude. This dude will fuck you up, man. So that was it. Then had more problems with him. But this was when I was little, and I was scared of that guy. He was nuts, dude. He was always playing with a knife and, like, you know, he'd wave it around. You're like, come on, man, you know. And so I was sitting there, and he goes, there's a thing that lives in our house now because my stupid ass sisters. And I'm sitting there looking at him. I'm like, okay, what is it? And he goes, you know, my brother's told you about it, right? It's a damn demon. And Nick's like, yeah, it's a demon. I'm like, I heard him the first time, dickhead. Why are you repeating it, you stupid shithead?
Loud man. Loud don't
go around here.
Yeah, loud man.
Yeah.
Yeah, I heard you the first time.
And then I said something stupid, and this kid punched me. Luckily, he just punched me in the arm and knocked me down. And their dad said, hey, you know, he got onto him. But I said something stupid, you know, like I was like, you know, what are you, his lawyer or something? Like I said something kind of stupid, smart mouth.
Mm-hmm.
He goes, maybe I am. And then he gets up and like punches me. And like, I just remember I had like a plate of food with like Cheetos that go flying everywhere. And I fall out of the lawn chair. And I kind of get up, you know, and I'm like kind of pissed off. And Ricky's like, man, knock it off, dude. Leave my friend alone. He threw a water at him, like a glass, not like a bottle of water, but like a cup of water, and it got on him. And then Ricky and Desmond's dad's like got in between us. Hey, come on, man. And then he says he's not really paying attention. Like he's talking to his brother or whatever who's there, you know. And then they turn around, and his brother's like, he's a pretty cool guy. He was one of our assistant coaches, and he turned around and he goes, y'all kids knock it off. And he goes, Desmond and Nick, why y'all still picking on little kids? And Desmond's like, I didn't do anything. And then they walked off. And then the dude's just looking at me like, oh, I'm gonna beat you up because I'm 5 years older than you and stupid, you know. And so they asked me what had happened, and I was like, I don't know. They're talking about something in the house. And then his dad, he turns around and he goes, man, stop talking about that crap. He goes, you're going to talk it up. Because, you know, black people, they're like Mexican people. They're the same way. They're like, don't talk about it.
Yeah.
Pretend it doesn't exist. If you pretend cancer will go away. That, just like diabetes. Your foot will grow back.
That's how everybody is. What
If you ignore them bills, they'll go away.
Ignore them bills. So you got that kind of mentality, you know, you're just kind of like, okay. So I was exposed to that at the early age because my mom's Hispanic, you know, just like, oh, well, don't talk about that. La Chusa, it's up there, you know, you can hear it. Don't whistle and you won't die. How about that? And it's like, yeah, but why is it there? Well, it's a witch. Well, why is that witch out there? Why does it want with us? Right? Well, what's the cause problem? What's to hurt us? Why? Why us in particular? Why did it pick this house tonight to come and be a problem? You know? Well, you know, now, I mean, it's energy. They seek out energy. I think they can see it, sense it, you know, taste it, whatever. And so that was the weird thing. Like, so we go back inside, and I remember that night we were at his house. I remember, and his older sisters, they come in there and they wanted to play a game, which was fun. We played Monopoly. You know, Monopoly takes forever, right? And then so I was always really good at math, and they were always like, "You be the banker." I was always the banker. I'm still the banker. I was gonna be the banker. I'm like, okay, and so I could do math really quick. And so they're like, he's the best in math. We'll make him be the banker, whatever. So when we're playing games, whatever, and the one sister, they hear a knock on the bathroom door. We could hear it. Like it was like 3 knocks, like boom, boom, boom. And they got scared and they like jump in each other's arms and then fall back into the bed. And they're like all scared and everything. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, I thought maybe, I mean, it sounded it sounded too perfect. Like you don't think of it when you're a kid as like a ghost is going to sound like that, right? So I go to the bedroom door and open the bedroom door. I'm like, there's nothing there. And everybody in the room starts screaming. Scott, Ricky, everybody's terrified of whatever the freaking heck is on the other side. So I look and I don't see anything. So I close the door and they're just like, something literally just ran down the hallway right there where you were at, like literally. So what they told me that it looked like was kind of like a goat looking creature. I didn't see it. I didn't had nothing to do with it. But they said it looked like not like a goat head, but like a man with like goat horns, kind of like a satyr would look like. That's what they described this creature as. And like years later, like I think it was like I was playing, I thought it was like in Coltley. I was in Pony Cold or something like that, like playing in Taylor. And I remember we went back to Rockdale to play, and his brother was like there, like with him. And I'd never really interacted with his brother a whole lot, like I said. And we were talking, I was like, and so we got on the subject of like the weird stuff, whatever, that had happened to us when we were kids. And I remember his brother he called it the Goat Man. Like his brother said it that night. I remember I was like 17. His brother was like his early 20s, and he was playing baseball. I want to say Trinity Valley or something like that, but he was playing baseball at some junior college or whatever. Or he had. And so he had a team that he was coaching in that league. And so I talked to him, and his brother, when we played them, because we were playing the neighboring towns, so you move on to so we beat them. And it was in Rockdale. His brother was there. And his brother had a team, right? And so we started talking and whatever, and he came up to me, he's like, "Oh, what's up, Josh?" He's real friendly compared to when we were kids, you know, because when you're a kid, it's like their job to be a bully.
Yeah.
But he didn't really bully me. It was more like the other guy that did it. You know, he just was kind of there. But he was just like, "Oh, what's up, Josh? How you doing, man? Whatever." And so we started kind of talking to me and Ricky. And I said something to my friend Carlos, who was on my team. I said, Ricky used to have a demon in his house. And because Carlos was talking about he's seen the black dog, right? Same thing I saw when I was like 17. And this was right before that, right? And Carlos is like, "Well, you saw some kind of werewolf." We all started talking about it. And Desmond was like, "Yeah, these towns are all haunted, you know." And he had his girlfriend there. And we were all talking, right? She was from North Texas, where he was going to school. And we were all talking, and she goes, "Yeah," she was from like Longview or something like that. She goes, "We have all these stories too, you know." And she's like, "You had a demon in your house?" And Desmond's like, "It looked like a goat. It was like a goat man." He had seen it. Yeah. And then we all just we had to separate and go our separate ways, you know. But it was real brief, you know. But he acknowledged it. The thing is, how it started, how it came to be, was by his sisters, the twins, going in the bathroom with their friend, another 3, right? And saying that shit 3 times. Bloody, you know, whatever. Yeah. And so it just, you know, and then here years later, you know, I get these stories that are 10 years apart, but still the same concept, the same premise. That's a synchronicity that a lot of people, they overlook those synchronicities. They think, oh, there's just these stories.
Coincidences.
They don't exist. I'm telling you. So you have 3 stories with 3 girls in each one. Now, we talked about something else, Anthony, the guys that saw it. I didn't want to point it out, but one of them is a gay dude. Okay. And then, he's gay. Like he openly, I mean, like he just, because when he mentioned his boyfriend, I was like, okay, well, obviously this guy's gay. The other guy didn't say he was. I'm not going to say his name or anything like that. But when you talk to him, you kind of think, oh, this guy, I think he's, and I'm not attacking people that are that way. I'm just saying you could tell. Like you could kind of tell. And these guys were in the restroom, both of these stories. Now, these are the ones that stand out. Now, they're not all like that. We have several of them like this. I hunted them down. And I was given 3, not counting Rick's story from when we were kids. But these 2 were guys. But both of them have a very feminine, how do you say it, Anthony? Like a feminine energy, or what was it?
Yeah, the like very much in touch with their feminine side, put it that way.
Well, let's put it that way.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say it without sounding, I wanted to say it without sounding insulting. All right. But I think there's something to this. Both of their stories, though, involved something that looked like a hag coming out of a mirror. And it was a brief encounter and it didn't drag on and on. One of them went through for about a week. His name, it's not important, but he went through some stuff, and that happened in New York City. The other guy lived down in Florida, and that happened to him. And like I said, he didn't tell me, hey, I'm, whatever, but he sounded kind of, like he was effeminate, and so maybe, and the only reason I'm bringing that up is because there could be something to this effeminate energy that draws this in, because it seems to me that it happens more to females than men. And the 2 men that I have the story from were had a feminine energy about them. Let's put it that way.
Also, like one thing I noticed, so what were the names of your friends' sisters again? It's like Tanisha, and who else?
Her twin?
Yeah.
I want to say Tanika or Tamika or something like that. I don't remember the name exactly, but I know the one girl's name was Tanisha, something like that.
So, like, what do we notice that all these names have in common? I mean, it's a small thing, but
they end in A.
It all matters. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Tamika, Tanisha, Sierra, Brenda, Kara, Sabina, Marissa, Kendra.
Well, what about Geneva? Well, no, Geneva.
Yeah, Geneva too.
But they call her Genevieve, but that's not her name. Her name is Geneva. That is weird. Okay, now that is something else too. But there were other girls that, well, no, because they didn't go into the restroom, so it would have been
like the ones that were in front of the mirror specifically.
That is weird. Well, folks, if you have any, if you want to bring your opinions here, let me know what you think in the comments section. I don't know.
So the lesson is, if you're a female and your name ends with an A, you're probably going to be haunted, and there's nothing you can do about it. It's avoidable. It's unavoidable, and you were doomed from birth. And there's no. I don't know. I don't know. Like that is weird though. That like there's like 9 people, all female, with like the last syllable of their name is the same.
But the 2 guys though that had the encounters,
but were they the ones who were in front of the
their
mirror?
names started with a J. That's it. That's where it begins and ends.
But did they participate
there's obviously
in front of the mirror?
Hidden rituals that we don't understand. Like, I'm sure it has something to do with something that we're not figuring out, because it might just be the time of place. It might be like certain moon cycles or whatever.
What if it is just like part of the code of the matrix that we're living in? What if that's what it is? You know what I mean? Like, what if there's just like if you type certain things into the computer, you get an output.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, that's probably why like certain like spells and incantations work. It's like a specific. It's almost like computer code. Like if you want a specific output, you type up a very very specific lines of computer code, and you get that output, and it just works every time. That's just how it is.
Matt's got a good point here.
What's he say? It's the cadence of speaking the names as well.
What if
3 syllables?
What if that's what it is?
Yeah. I mean, all of it could play a role. That, like, all of these kind of small, like, these small details that people might tend to overlook, like they come together and kind of like create like this tapestry, and they'll weave together to and like have a profound
What if
effect.
these demons are really a type of sophisticated AI that lives in the Matrix, and they're brought forward through their own manipulation?
Hmm.
I know it sounds that's a lot to that's a big chunk to chew off of, but I don't know. Reading the comments here. Well, that's interesting. You know, Kami's got a lot of things to say tonight. Exactly, David. David, another paratrooper. What's up, David? And no knock on you, Dave. It's just, you know, my friend Dave was a very sleepy guy. Pretty sure he grew out of that, though. He like runs a casino now, so he can't be too sleepy. Maybe he just got a lot of sleep as kids, and now he's, you know, he's what do you call that?
I
Successful.
mean, it wouldn't really diminish the fact of hell and God if there is a matrix.
That's a good question, Percy. I always think of the clown from San Marcos.
Oh yeah.
I said, Percival. Hey guys, you want an extra helping of mashed potatoes? Laugh at my stupid jokes. Don't you have to invite them in? Well, I guess that would be a sort of, you know, if you're inciting it by going into the restroom and saying an incant, I mean, isn't that pretty much accepting it? I mean,
Oh,
inviting
but I
it.
think a lot of people like don't even realize that they invite like unclean spirits or even straight up demons into their lives. Like, because it doesn't have. I don't think it has to be some conscious like thing that you say with that specific intention. I mean, like it could just be certain behaviors you have or certain things that certain thoughts that you're having that are going unchecked. You know, and it's like I don't think we really even fully realize like how much we open ourselves to things at times, you know.
Yeah. Joel has a good point. Hmm. That's interesting. So what Joel said was those who have NDEs always describe this world as like a simulation and the afterlife is more real. True. And Takayasha says, but Wolf is correct. Demons are the fractals under archons who are larger aspects of the demiurge's matrix. It's very much like coding functions. Yeah, interesting.
I mean, if you look at like neural pathways, and then you look at like what is it, solar systems or
The
something?
universe.
Yeah, the universe. They match up pretty well, and it's like a code. And much like in coding, if it works one way here, you'd use it again somewhere else.
Yeah.
I think people make a mistake of like just because you understand how the world works doesn't mean that it diminishes the fact that it was built that way.
Mm-hmm. All right, folks. Well, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being a part of what we do. We here at Paranormal Roundtable. Thank you to those who donated. Remember, get your name in green, and you can be a part of what we got going on when it comes to the new shows that are going to be out and the live the pre-records that we're going to have coming tomorrow. We have a pre-record, don't we?
Yeah.
We got a pre-record tomorrow. It's free. We are going to start the paywall though in September, and we're going to do initially we're going to have one extra show that's going to be, we're going to have all the regular shows as normal, but then we're going to have one show per week that's going to be extra. And that's going to be behind the paywall, and it's going to be a pre-record. So 1 hour show a week, and it will be through Patreon. So if you join the Patreon, you'll be able to check it out. If not, well, I'm sorry. That's just what we have to do. And then that's going to go on probably until November. And then hopefully by November, we'll have it sorted out to where we have 2 shows on the Patreon. But thank you for tuning in. Thank you for listening. Thank you for being a part of what makes PRT PRT. I appreciate every one of you, each and every one of you. Just please like and subscribe, hit the like button, and become a member. That's $5, and then it's $10 to do the Patreon. But the Patreon is awesome because you get a swag bag, and you get one every 6 months. So you get the first one for 2 months, and then you get one every 6 months. A lot of people have reported back that they have gotten their stuff. That's a good thing. And people are posting the pictures of it in the Paranormal Roundtable group. Also, we have the Paranormal Roundtable page. Let me show you what it looks like. Go and join up with this to keep up with all things PRT. Let me show you. It looks like that. And we just fairly new this has been around for a while, but we fairly newly, how do you say it? We just recently started like really going in and doing stuff with it. I don't, me personally, don't post on there. Like I'll go and interact with it. I'm not posting things. It's not me that does it. There's several of us, but I don't really mess with that PRT account much, but you'll see me in there posting and commenting as Josh Turner. So I'm almost always Josh Turner. I'm not ever really using the Paranormal Roundtable logo or whatever. I just don't have time. This is not my thing, but yeah, a lot of people do use it from the y'all do, and Ellie does. So it's just, like I said, I'm usually posting as Josh Turner, but I'll be in there, so go and join that page and keep up with the chats and what's going on with Paranormal Roundtable. You're welcome to comment and whatever, make suggestions. And if you're part of the Patreon, for sure, you definitely have my ear, because if you're paying to listen, you're paying to help us, to help us with the show, you definitely have you're a big component of what this is, because without you, we can't make it. So the Patreon is the life's blood of the show at this point. And thank you to everybody who donates and helps out in any capacity. It is greatly, greatly appreciated and needed at this point. We definitely need it. But I'm hoping that, with the Patreon, you'll figure out that it's worth it to help, because we can do more shows, and we can, do more. So we want to do the giveaway tonight before we go. So we're going to each pick somebody. So we'll start with you, Mushu. Who do you want? Let's see. Somebody say, "Hey, I haven't won before." You'll get priority. And if there's nobody that hasn't won, then we'll just pick somebody who has, and you'll win again.
All right, Banjo, get ready to choose. What are you feeling? What are you feeling?
He's not even looking. Pay attention,
Ooh.
Banjo. You're embarrassing yourself.
I feel you. You're getting closer. All right, guys. Who wants to win? Green names? Green names? Or anyone?
No. Anybody.
Oh, okay. Let's see.
No, Big Daddy Earl was the first one.
Actually, Sean was the first one.
Was he?
You just spelled it wrong.
Sean. Oh, okay. Sorry, Sean. I almost overlooked. So do you want to pick Sean?
I will pick Sean too. 8891. What do you think, Banjo? Sounds like a good choice too.
I'll take Don. And it's only right because Earl was there. So Anthony, he's your Big Daddy.
What?
You got to pick Big Daddy Earl.
Yeah, I was gonna pick Big Daddy Earl.
Big Daddy, yeah.
Regardless, because I like quick responses, and Sean was the first, and Big Daddy Earl was the second.
Big Earl says, "Damn, always second." Yeah, but it doesn't matter. You're still
You
winning.
still won.
You're still one. You're winning the same thing. All three of you guys. So Sean
Good job, guys.
and Earl and Don. So Sean, Earl, and Don. Right, you guys win. So tell them what they got to do. I'll put the banner on there.
Yeah, make sure you make sure you send an email to the email address that's scrolling right here at the bottom of the screen.
Where?
Somewhere. You didn't put it up yet?
Where?
I can't see on my end.
We can see. You have eyes.
Well, yeah, but
You have
there's a delay.
timeline. What are you talking
There's a
about?
delay. It just okay. So you put it on and you took it off and then you put it back
Your
on.
forehead is huge.
Your whole head is huge. You wear like a size 8.
It's a 5 head.
It's a 5 head. You got a 5 head, bro.
I'm not gonna lie. I think I got one too.
Let me see.
Was it 5 head?
Not
Not-
quite.
Not yet.
Tiny. Small head with big
Well,
forehead.
Tony has.
That's all right. I'm gonna keep my hair well into my 60s.
Well, when you have a forehead like that, you gotta have
I am
bangs.
too. You'll see my mom, and my dad. We all got
I
hair.
don't think I've ever seen your dad.
Yeah,
I've
you
seen
met his
your mom.
dad. You ever met his dad?
Yeah, your mom has a full head.
His
of
dad's
hair.
got the personality of Khan from King of the Hill.
Oh man, what a turd.
You never met Khan Jr.? His daughters are like more important than Tony.
Yeah,
It's sad.
which is it's backwards in Asian.
Doesn't
Well,
make
Like,
any
no.
sense.
Not his
aren't y'all
daughter.
supposed to be like kicking the
Because
daughters off?
he
the
has daughters
cliff
with my
and
mom
stuff?
too. It's just his own daughter.
Yeah, his own. Yeah. He don't care about them. The ones he had with Dow.
It's like you're the only son. You're supposed to be like the king in an Asian family,
Exactly.
like the emperor of the family.
So,
Anyway,
giveaways at prtpodcast.com. Giveaways at prtpodcast.com.
yeah. So like, if you want, please just make sure that you send an email to that email address saying, "Hey, I want to give away. Here's what I want to win shirts or what." Like what?
You see what Maddie put? What the hell's wrong with you? Look
What's
who's
that?
talking. The little
Curly
stick
head.
figure.
You got what is it? Chia pet head, Maddie. What are you talking about? Called you a block, or she called Wolf a blockhead.
Blockhead. Way to go. Thanks for calling.
You're 5 head.
Scorpion says, I've never met Mushu's dad. Probably good for him.
Yeah, he doesn't want to meet you, man.
He's like, keep him away.
I think he
Your
doesn't
dad's
want to meet me
Taiwanese, though,
because
right?
he knew you.
Your dad's from Taiwan.
Yeah,
He's
yeah, he
Taiwanese.
is.
Yeah. Okay. So Tony's Taiwanese and Vietnamese, which Taiwanese is really just Chinese. So
Unless our Chinese overlords take over, then I am fully Chinese.
then you're like, I am
I
part
have
of
always
you.
been
Oh.
Chinese.
I found the loophole. Now I don't have a 5 head.
I got more than a 5 head.
Oh,
And then the
yeah,
You got about 10.
I did not think this one through.
Do you ever?
Okay, I have a 1.5 hand head then. 1.5. No, I have 2 tiny hand head. Jeez.
Remember hands.
But okay, so but yeah, send your name, your YouTube handle, and your shirt size to giveaways at prtpodcast.com. That's the email address that's scrolling at the bottom of the screen. Let us know you won, and we'll get your stuff sent out to you as soon as possible.
Let me answer Lolo's question here. Lolo, no, you do not need to send me an email to let me know. It'll show up on the Patreon. So when we go to do a Patreon only show, you'll be there because you've joined Patreon. So it's automatic.
And thank you everyone for the prayers for Banjo. I'm trying my best to keep him good. But he's lived a really good life. So
Oh, so it's just time to go? Wow.
I'm not gonna argue with God. If it's his time,
Oh
to
my
go, it's
God,
his
you're
time
gonna
to
be
go. But I'm gonna try my best.
dying when that dog's
I'm gonna try my best to keep him with us. But I know that it wouldn't be the worst thing.
You still got some living left in him.
Yeah, let's not talk like that. Come on.
It's morbid.
It's morbid, Tony.
Talk about your own dog like that.
He's got a great life.
God.
What are you talking about? I spoiled the heck.
You're
out of him.
basically ready
He's
for
not
him to
just
go.
sitting in his.
Right? Because you don't have to deal with him anymore.
Like, well, it's been a good run, Banjo.
I am not going to argue
hands are
with how
clean.
things are
Wash
going.
this.
God.
Obviously, I'm caring for him. I got him
Okay.
7
All right,
different
this has
supplements.
gotten weird. All right, folks. Thank you for your prayers. Thank you for everybody who tuned in and joined us tonight for the show. And congratulations to the winners. We will be mailing out probably the end of next week. So, and then everybody that wins over this week and next, you'll be shipped out along with the Patreon people, whoever's time it is for you to win your stuff. And you know who you are if you keep up with it. that's when you send me the email through giveaways@prtpodcast.com and say, look, blockhead, I've been, loyal for 2 months. Send me my swag. And we will. All right, guys, we'll see you. Good night.
Mother Mary, full of grace, full of grace. I don't want to be left in this place. I confess my sins again and again, brought down to my knees. Please, Father, set me free. I know you see all the pain inside me. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I'm a sinner, from cradle to grave. Jesus, I hope it is I that you save the tears I've cried regarding my life. Please, Lord, don't cut me out of the book of life. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. My repentant heart bleeds, my spirit cries. I'm completely dying inside. My sins are great. I've dread the fire lake. Forgive me. What will it take? Reach for me, oh Lord, in my weakest moment. All of thy own. Rosary, Mother Mary, can you help me? Please, God, don't forsake me. Remember me, holding on tightly to my rosary. I am guilty and filthy. Forgive me, take this pain away. I know I stray. My soul is tired with heavy burdens, no clergyman redemption. I stand alone, my sins ingrained into my bones. Heaven or hell, where will my soul dwell? Eternity is waiting for me. Jesus, I beg, have mercy on me. Mater Maria, potens nemi